What's up? Your boy is back. It's time to have some fun. It's time to bring the negativity to the positivity. It's time to have some fun. We're gonna bring some. Fun guys in here tonight. But I want to talk a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about Outlaws. That was the hook to try to get you guys in here. Is it worth it? We're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get anybody that we can that's played it, love, hate it, whatever you think about it. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Aside from that, how's everybody been? It's been a while since we've done a live stream. We did a celebration one for more celebrating you guys, the fans, more than me. We are going to do a member stream coming up. I'm just waiting for a few more of you guys to vote in the poll so that we can get everybody in the poll voted so that we can decide what we're going to do. But yeah, the usual suspects are hanging out in the chat. Matt Cave is hanging, using some of those member emojis. We have more of those emojis to come. There's more artwork coming in the mix. My guy is feverishly working on the art. He's working on the color. He went back. He's so committed that he didn't like what he did. He went back and he started over again. So it's out of control. That piece of art is going to be dope. We're going to cut that into a couple different emojis. But it's going to be fun because we got that going on. Matt Cave's using those. Steve is here. Sheev is here from Vader's Lair. He's getting back into the Star Wars atmosphere after being away for a little while, figuring out the way the world works. But we're going to bring in the homies. It's been a while. This dude has been everywhere in my stream today. I mean, literally everywhere in the algorithm for me. This dude is like, this is a third appearance in 3 days. He must be getting tired. Are you drinking tea? Get this man a green tea. What's up, dude? There he is. I knew. Yay, you've been everywhere this week. Do you need some tea?
Yeah.
Do you need some some sencha? Like what some ginger ale? Like what do you need?
No, there's just a lot going on in the nerdy world.
There is. Your Rebel Scum podcast on Mondays. Where were you yesterday? I pulled you up, but
yesterday we talk about DC news, and
that's
it's called
what it was. It was
digital charcuterie.
It was nobody cares about DC. See, they boxed me out too. And we got one more coming in. We got him like I said, we're bringing him back into the fold because he's been out and getting it done. So Sheev is here also hanging
out.
What up?
Long time no see.
I know, long time no see. So yeah, Steve, we're getting all the homies to show up. We're going to talk about, everybody here has at least dabbled in some Outlaws. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about some rumors. Not only are there rumors about actual stuff that's happening in Star Wars, right? Not only is there rumors about the Rey movie, not only are there rumors about what show is next, what movie's next, bobbity all the biggity baggity boom, but there's also all this horse manure going on Twitter and YouTube and all this poppycock that's going on over here on the other side. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. I don't know where we're going tonight. It's been a long time since we've got a bunch of the boys together. So we're just going to go crazy. We're going to have fun. We could be talking about some bullshit. We could be talking about some fun rumors. We're definitely going to talk about some Outlaws because, Matt's lurking. He's using those custom emojis from the membership. But yeah, Matt, we're going to talk because, Sheev's been gone a while. Hawks has been talking with everybody and their mama about, DC and Star Wars on Rebel Scum and all this other stuff. So yeah, we're going to get into it. First and foremost, what do you guys think of Outlaws?
You want to go first?
Yeah, what I've played so far, I really enjoy. The plot is kind of dragging for me. I feel like it's similar to other. I actually have been comparing it to Andor a lot, believe it or not. It's like build your team up and then big heist at the end. So I'm kind of just anticipating what the big heist is.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Well, the big heist they've told you about though. Like
they've kind of. You guys want to talk about like what it kind of is? Is that okay with you? And
I mean, it's cool with me. I'm only like 6 hours into the game technically.
But have like you heard what they're heisting though yet? Have you gotten into what they're heisting?
Me personally, no.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm okay with it.
I don't want to ruin it for you.
I mean,
he's okay with it. We're doing it.
I'm gonna say it's been out for what?
That's why we were talking about this in the backstage before you came in. It's like, well, are we allowed to spoil this bitch yet? Is it been on the counter long enough to throw out on the wall to see if it's still good or what. So
And I
yeah,
think this is minor because it's like halfway in, and I still have no idea like how we're even gonna get to pulling it off.
amen.
It's
Amen. Yeah,
basically
yeah.
just like a Fort Knox. I assume it's gonna be a Fort Knox type situation because what the booty is unmarked Beskar. So it's like these Imperial credits, but it's like unmarked bills.
It's like
The
it's like the
total
Beskar.
amount,
Is it like the Beskar plates that haven't been stamped yet?
I assume, yeah, the way they described it. But they
Mm-hmm.
said 157 million, whatever their equivalent of
Credits
like
worth.
credits. Yeah, dude. So like life changing
I
shit.
mean,
And I don't
look
know.
that
I don't know if it's personal gain or whatever by this guy that's running the show, but
look at that little brick that Dinjarin got, right?
mm,
And that was just a little brick of like that was like the shavings, right? That they scrapped extra when it was done. Um, so it seems like to me they could potentially be going after an imperial smelting plant. And
someplace that's just got it all hold up. I have no idea. I've been to
well, I
so
mean,
many
look.
different planets. I'm not even sure where the actual place is. We're gonna go steal it.
Well, let's talk about because I mean, Sheev, how far are you in? Where are you as far as
I need to play more.
yes, but
I was gonna do a stream tonight actually, so
how
we'll
ma-
see. We'll see.
how far are you in there? Like where are you as far as K is concerned? Like what have you gotten to? Have you met
I really
Gorak?
haven't left the main planet. Like I've kind of been doing stuff on the main planets most of the time. I'm like
Okay, so
I
you're
met
still on the
Gorak.
Syndicate
Yeah,
world. Okay.
yeah.
So have you started collecting teammates yet?
No,
Okay.
not well. Sort of, but not really. Like
Like the
there was a
speed
chick.
bike.
I would say the chick that helped with the speeder. Yes.
Right. So you've met the speed bike repair person. You're starting to like find the splicer.
Yeah.
You
The
find
Rhodian homie.
you find the Rhodian homie, and then you find the Jawa. Yeah. So you figured out that you're assembling like Scotty said, you're assembling a team of friends. Has our robot friend showed up yet?
Yeah, briefly, I think.
ND5.
Because that's
ND5.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think I don't remember
He's
now.
cool.
He's co-piloting the Trailblazer.
Oh no, I don't think I have
Okay,
actually.
then
So I'm
you'll
right
get to
before that. Yeah.
you'll get to a point where he'll come into play, and he kind of co-pilots, and he's a little narc anyway. You can't trust that guy anyway.
Mhm.
So, but the game. So we were talking backstage, like what's the end game is obviously the heist, right? I didn't even think about how it feels, kind of like Andor, gathering your band, but we were saying, well, what's kind of the point, right? And I think just based like this isn't going to have any huge implications, right? This isn't Cal Kestis starting the path. This isn't even Kotor had very little impact on the grand design of the Star Wars universe as it sits, right? It kind of sat on its own little pedestal so far away from everything, KOTOR. But I've been saying it for a while. This game has a KOTOR feel, right? If you're playing KOTOR and you play this game, you get the same feel depending on who you talk to, depends on your list of side missions. There's all kinds of these little pearls in the game where you find, this and that. You see Solo and Carbonite. You see Boba Fett. So you see these things that we know happen in this timeline. It kind of gives you an idea of where you are coming into this show, right? Or into this game. We know you're right there in between Empire and Jedi, right? Solo's delivered to Jabba, but Luke hasn't come and destroyed everything yet. So you're right in that buffer zone right before Luke's coming to tear everybody up. Right? The Rancor's still alive. You fight the Rancor, the whole Megillah. So I like that they put you in a certain time where we can't really affect what's going on. I mean, you can't really kill Jabba, right? Because he needs to be in the next movie and so on and so forth. But I do like that you have a little bit of autonomy as to where you go. Like right now, I'm hunting things down on Tatooine, and I just found a couple pearls in the desert. I found a data pad and read some stuff on it that had a lot of fun, old school implications. So there's a lot of pearls in this thing. There's a lot of little hints in this, and it's aside from the speeder. I hate the speeder.
The
fa-
driving does leave something to be desired.
I fast travel everywhere I can. I hate the speeder so much.
I love that.
But I mean, what do you guys think? Are you guys digging KVS? I mean, obviously Nyx. I said it in every stream. I need a Lego Nyx. I need a plush toy Nyx. I need a Nyx on my desk. I need more of that little guy.
Yeah, no, they need to make Nick's merchandise as fast as they can.
Just stat, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And then Kay, I like her so far. I mean, I haven't got that far into the game, but she's definitely a little scoundrel, and I think it's fun. She's just trying to survive, and one of the deadliest times of Star Wars, really.
Well, and in the most deadly places, right? Not only just the most deadly time, but the deadliest places. I mean, you start on Syndicate, what I'm calling Syndicate Central, right? You start in a place where there's everybody's there, right? So you've got the you've got the Pikes got one little area, Crimson Dawn's got a little area, the Hutts don't really have an area, they're just kind of everywhere, right? And then you got the Imperials have their little slice in this city, and I mean it's entertaining if nothing else. I've enjoyed just playing Sabacc. I'll just find a Sabacc table and play some Sabacc and kick some ass. And yeah, I mean it's been so much fun. I don't see the complaints on the graphics. I mean, really, I've said it. It's Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order meets KOTOR.
And on PC, I haven't really even experienced the bugs and stuff that I've seen. So they must have been really like on fixing some of that, because
space.
I've seen the stealth, like where people go and like execute a stealth takedown, and then it like teleports them over like actually near people, and so they see them. But it's like I haven't experienced any like weird glitches, game breaking stuff like that.
The one thing I do regret I should have got it for PC. I got it for PlayStation 5. And not that PlayStation 5 is necessarily an issue, because I know that you play on a PlayStation 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for me, it's just, first of all, brand new Wi-Fi. And then on top of that, having the fact that like I'm connecting the PlayStation to my PC and then streaming from there, and streaming with crappy Wi-Fi. So all of it, that like there's already kind of a frame rate lag, like just connecting it to the PC, in my opinion, let alone on top of like trying to stream everything at once. And then so that is the only time I get like graphic glitches, and like you can even see on the stream, like granted might be the connection to, it looks kind of frame rate laggy at times and not really clear. And then that is my one complaint. But again, that's probably because I'm doing a whole bunch of technical stuff that's, causing the game to do more than it should, or at least my systems.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've crashed in. I've had a couple crashes after space battles. I've had a couple times where I've gotten stuck, and I'll just have to fast travel back to another location. But aside from that, I haven't had any glitches. I haven't had any issues really with the game. I think it's really challenging, right? I think the game is excessively challenging. There's a lot of, nuances to the game. There's always a back door somewhere to try to find your way in. But if you're there, this is a game for exploring, right? Like you're going to find some fun stuff here and there depending on what you're into. And your journey's different based on who you're teaming up with, right? So again, it's got that KOTOR feel, but I feel like it's got that Fallen Order graphics. I can give a shit that I'm playing a female protagonist. I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
like I've been just focusing on the main quests, and I did 2 very long streams. And I will say that it's kind of wearing on me, so that's why I haven't really jumped right back into it, because I don't want to get burned out on doing the same things over and over in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do see, like, maybe, as my channel hopefully continues to grow here, as like an incentive, going back and doing all of the food challenges. Because I don't know if you've come across like the actual, like, there's like little I don't know what you'd call it. It's basically like a food truck, but they're like little stands, like with
No,
different food in every city.
I haven't
So
done
when you
any food
when you
stuff
go
yet.
up to them, there's like you're eating with Nix. You're like tasting the food, but there's actual on-screen visual mini game. And for keyboard and mouse, it's like hit this key and it's like a random key, or like do this other, but it's like keys, mouse clicks, and like if the more you get them right, I think every unlock gives Nix like a cosmetic or a power up or something like that. So I could see myself going through each city and just doing those for fun, because that mini game was actually pretty challenging. The
Dude,
arcade games
the
too, like
arcade games
walk
I
up
was
to the
gonna
arcade games, you can play them. So there's
Yeah.
Star
Okay.
Wars Arcade in there. It's pretty cool.
That's dope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
a lot of
some
these
cool shit.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
graphics are good. I mean, I haven't had any issues. I don't know many people that have had issues. I mean, the biggest complaint I've had with the game is that the early release wasn't really an early release because I had to start over.
That was
So
brutal, and
that's
it's
kind of a
just like
you know,
I feel bad for Ubisoft, because they already got this little asterisk just because they're Ubisoft and have a history with us. Now it's like that happens and takes away like uh I mean, some people
Hours of
had like
some
gameplay.
people almost
yeah,
finished.
some
Like
people
some
had
Yeah.
whole streams. They like 24-hour stream that shit. and
Yeah,
it's
some
like
people like
gone.
almost finished the whole game and they were
Oh,
like, "Wah, wah, guess what? You got to start
brutal.
over." Right? And it's
Absolutely
like,
brutal.
yeah, it's brutal. Look, that's what I'm rocking. I'm rocking the Knicks with the goggles is top tier. Now, in my opinion, in my opinion, the Disney store, the Disney merch, look, if you're gonna make money on this game, we're gonna get into the price tags in a minute, but if you're gonna make real money off this game, where Disney makes all its money is on the merch. And if you're gonna be smart, what you do is you let us in the Disney store custom put on what Nick's gets sent with. Goggles, the dice, whatever it is. If you want to make top tier money on this little dude is everywhere and he is for everyone, right? Like there's not a person that I have met that's like, that Nick's thing is dumb. I'm like, bro, that thing is adorable.
Yeah,
And
but obsession. Will we ever see this character ever again?
oh, well,
He's not going to show up in any other content.
I don't care. I don't care. I got a Dio over there. I don't care. They sold that little dude, right? I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
yeah.
It
I'm gonna buy mine now before I take them off shelves.
I mean, they bought a BB. They gave us a BD1. In fact, they made more of them. We saw it in the Boba Fett show. So they made that specific kind of droid more of a character. I mean, if they'd have sold Loth Cats, I'd have bought Loth Cats.
They should
You
still
know,
do that.
if they
I
sold
feel like they do at Galaxy's Edge, maybe, or
that's
some
what I'm
Right.
saying.
sort
Like,
of.
I need
Yeah.
that stuff.
The old
Like,
trademark land.
I need that stuff, right? That's
Yeah.
the stuff I need. I need Loth Cats. I need I mean, there's so many. Yeah, ND has a cool arc. We don't cover it yet, but I mean,
I
you
think
get
I
to see more
stopped
of him.
right before that.
Yeah, build a Nyx, right? Like,
hmm
we can make a little stand where you can add on the accessories. Um,
They name drop Temin Wexley,
yeah.
who is in Aftermath, and I think he is in the trilogy, the sequel trilogy, Grown Up. He's a pilot.
Well, don't they also? Yeah, don't they also? That was going to say, isn't that Dax?
No, if you Google the character, his picture shows up. I can't remember the actor's name. Because he freaking looks like John Favreau, but he's not. He's the other guy. When you see his picture, you'll
That's
know what I
funny.
mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But he's like the
look,
Porkins of the sequels. He's like the
right.
butt of the joke guy.
Well, I mean, and it's the gameplay is addicting, right? You get stuck in it for hours. That's how I always mark a good game. For me, is not necessarily perfection in graphics or gameplay. It's can I get stuck in this thing for a couple hours, right? That's to me that is the marker of a good game. It's
That
not
happened
the
to me.
reviews by the people. It's
That's
simply
fair.
can I get stuck in the game for a few hours? And this is one of those games where you time warp. You start when it's daylight outside, you end when it's nighttime outside. You're like, how did I
That is
lose
true.
how did I lose 3 hours? Right? A 3-hour stream is
Oh, I
not
did
hard.
5.
That's what I'm saying. Dude,
Mhm.
Scotty did 9.5.
Yep,
Oh,
I
that's
just couldn't stop
amazing.
playing.
Let's
I just
Bro,
couldn't stop
It's
playing.
He just
great.
couldn't
It's
That was my
stop.
great.
I
first
kept
one.
coming back. I kept doing
don't
stuff
blame
and
you.
coming back. I'm
Same
like, are you
record
still
there.
going, dude? Like, what is going
Yeah, that was a fun day actually. We
If
did
it
really
wasn't for
well.
Monday Night Football, I would have been streaming later that night. So I get you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just like you can get stuck in this game for hours on end, and to me, that's the definition of a good game. Not the media coverage, not the stars or reviews by the experts, not the haters or shills, but really, the cute and lovable character is something they've learned that works. They found one. It's great. Nyx is awesome. Make more, make toys, do Legos. I want it all. But then they found a game for me that's like, cool. I don't have any lightsabers. I get to customize my blasters a little
Speaking of
bit.
Knicks,
Hey,
Mhm.
speaking of, I get to customize my blasters. I get to customize my ship like Fallen Order. That's cool. No lightsaber, but I got a blaster. Um, you're making cool grenades. I mean, the challenges are fun.
The
It's a
customizations of weapons and things like that, and how you can use them with the environment and stuff like that is really creative. So I actually really like that part of it. I could see like a niche group of people trying to like only beat the game through stealth or only,
yeah.
certain things. There's definitely like achievements within the game too for things like that. So
Well,
there is so much to
100% this
do.
game would take forever.
oh my
Unreal.
God.
Yeah.
You couldn't do. I think we were talking about this the other day. You couldn't do speed runs in this game. It would take days. Your
Yeah, no.
speed run would be
Ooh.
days.
Tried to speedrun the missions, died 12 times. But we still went loud. We still went loud. I'm
I mean-
trying to beat the rest of it if I play it again, not stealth at all. I'm just going in guns blazing.
I mean, that's
Last
kind of
time it took me 20. This time it only
Yeah.
took me 9.
yeah.
There are some forced stealth missions. So it
Yes.
is meant for you to like infiltrate certain areas without being seen. And you're trying to,
Well-
you're basically getting one over on the Empire. So
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh.
it's all training.
can we talk about one thing that is really cool too? Is like it is. So people keep saying it's like Star Wars GTA or Star Wars this, and it's like there's one very small but very like spot on GTA thing. And you have a wanted level. Eventually, over the comms, you hear them call in death troopers, and then a big red timer is like a countdown. And when they land on the planet, like it's crazy. So like the death trooper shit is terrifying, actually.
Yeah, I've
Well,
heard.
And then, it's funny because you're in
Yeah.
the ship and you can see your wanted poster. And you can
Yeah.
go up and interact with it and like
And it shows the cost.
yeah,
on
it
your
shows
head.
how much you're worth and she's like, makes a snide comment about, how much you're worth or whatever. It's
That's amazing.
it's
Yeah.
really interesting based on, and again, your level. Like for me personally, fuck the Pikes, right? Like I'm like fuck Pike City, right?
Yes,
For me,
Stanley's.
I'm not what Stanley's doing. The
Yes. Fucking love that show too.
the Porkins, yeah.
Yeah.
But not only, fuck the Pikes because they offer really nothing in this whole thing. The Hutts, like, yeah, cool. You're already, even when you do Jabba's bidding, you're still on his shit list. So like, I'm not about the Hutt life, but I'm more interested. Like, I can't wait to meet Kira, right? Like at some point, I hope we get to meet Kira. That's the whole reason I'm going Crimson Dawn. Is like I'm hoping to get a hint of Maul, or at least Maul's regime and Kira following. Like I'm hoping to get some of that solo, sequel solo stuff. And so, yeah, I'm really into what they could potentially show us as and here's the reason I say that, and I'll actually wait. I actually kind of wanted to wait for Matt to get here. He's on his way. He's filling his cup, but does and because you were mentioning this early, Scotty, where does this game lead us in the story, right? Like, is this is a one-off, we're done, right? Could this be a one-off and done? This, I feel like, and this is only after playing for just a little while, could this be the intro back into the Lando show, back into the solo, a solo 2 or a solo sighting in the Lando show based on this style and what we're seeing as far as like Solo and Carbonite, this thief mentality, this they're talking about the Lando show a bunch right now. I'm not necessarily saying that we will see the young Lando in this, but potentially could we see Lando infiltrating or help Lando infiltrate Jabba's palace before Luke gets there? Right? So like these little pearls, like could that be leading to like, oh, a Lando flashback and then it's the Lando show is these pearls that they drop in shows could lead us to the next thing, right? And so
That's actually a huge call. I forgot about the Lando stuff that is coming out. That
so
you could
I
see a
don't
lot
know,
of these people.
I don't know if that would be something they're trying to hint into, because this has a very Han Solo feel. This has a very Solo, feel to it. The as far as the bounty hunters and
Yeah.
just everything
Yeah.
involved. So
She's the female scoundrel version of him in a
yeah,
sense.
yeah. There he is.
Hello there.
Hello there.
General Matt Kobe.
Oh, Matt Kobe. What's
We
up,
meet
dude?
again at last.
I had to get my stuff ready. I had to get the merch going.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
got the hoodie. I
Yeah, I
got
know
the
you're
shirt.
you're promoting hard tonight.
I got the
yeah,
mug.
Oh, dang.
My mug is dirty from using it so much on stream. I had to go generic tonight.
I hate it when my mug gets dirty.
Oh my god, my mug is dirty. But yeah, man, we were just jamming about really how this, where this could be leading this game in the long stream. I know none of us have finished it, so I don't really have any expectations on what the ending is.
But that part with Darth Maul is crazy, right?
Yeah, that
We just
part with
talked about
Maul is
this,
just-
Matt. You
whew,
missed it.
just-
Wait, Darth Maul's in it?
No, I'm just kidding.
That can't possibly
I'm just
be.
kidding. Just kidding.
So
Trust me, they said something earlier where they
Huge
were like,
retcon.
hey,
They were-
here's
they were
my God,
talking
this
about-
this guy's gonna get himself killed right here. I'm telling you. This guy. Hold on, I can't even use the regular one, so I have to do two at the same time. Oh, he turned it off.
Aw.
Gotcha.
What
You're
up,
not
Dan?
getting me. What up? What up? What up? What up?
Dan.
It's Dan the man.
What
What
up,
up, Dan
What
the
up,
man?
squad? How y'all doing? How y'all living?
What's cracking?
Chilling.
Dylan?
Everybody's here. Love it.
What you doing?
Damn, the Dirty Five is back. Golly,
That's
it's been
it,
a
bro.
minute.
That's it. You
We
know?
might have to rethink the name, but yeah.
Well, I prefer something more fabulous, but that's just me. Yeah,
Right.
man, I'm trying to get back to getting the band together, man. It's been a long time since we've all streamed. I mean, I don't know I know Dan's a busy man, but do you have any thoughts on Outlaws? I mean, are you watching streams? Are you catching any game time? Are you even aware of that there's a video game out that's new for Star Wars? I mean, you get at me. What's up?
Sure. So I caught a bit of your streams just to like test the waters if I really wanted to get it. And I mean, the concept seems cool. Like, you get to be a straggler, whoever she's supposed to be, just traversing the galaxy from planet to planet. That whole idea is cool. Probably need to watch a few more videos to see if I really want to spend like money on it though. And then also seen that they just announced Fallen Order 3, like we didn't know that was coming and that we didn't know it was going to be the last one, but that's okay.
They haven't announced a name though yet, correct? They've
No
only
name yet.
mentioned,
Just
they've
in
only mentioned the
development.
sequel is coming.
Started.
Yeah, they start working on it.
And that's more good news. I mean, honestly, I'm going to call it early and just say maybe it might have something to do with the path and just
Right.
potentially that being involved in the name. But man, they're so good. I mean, Fallen Order was a 2-word, so you might be able to sneak in a second. But Survivor was so catchy. Like, what are you playing? Oh, Jedi Survivor. It's like, God damn, it's so catchy. But yeah, man, look, I mean, honestly, I would recommend getting the cheap version just because honestly the add-ons aren't really that great. And another thing we were mentioning about gameplay, something I'm really digging about the gameplay is that the gear you find, the wardrobe you find, is not just aesthetic. There are
Yeah.
the boots. Some boots have a quieter sole or whatever. Some boots are better for thieving this and
Oh,
help.
bro, there's set bonuses. I was like, wait a minute, this is an RPG. What is this? So
Right,
it's like
right.
when you get the belt, the boots, the vest, it's like there's add-on bonuses for your stealth or whatever.
Right. And that's just
It's
it. Your
cool.
sneaking around ability,
Yeah, you can kind of make a build, which is nice. So,
and that's what I'm saying. The depth of this game is I think a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really know what to expect with this game, but the more I play it and the more I interact, the more I'm like, man, this has some layers. This is so much like KOTOR, right? And Matt mentioned it the other day. Is this what 1313 would have been?
Yeah, I feel like 1313 would have been a lot like this because 1313 was going to go a bit more into the bounty hunting territory, but at the end of the day, it was the undercity, the underbelly of Coruscant. It was the dark world of just everything. And that's kind of what we're doing in Outlaws. It's just a different character and a different layout. Honestly, I was having fun with the game already. Ran across a couple strange things here and there, but now that I made it to Tatooine, I'm having the most fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
The crate dragon, number one, they break out the crate dragon. You see it. I've seen pictures that people are taking during game of like Nick's hanging onto the back, like tongue out crazy, and the crate dragon's like coming out of the ground like Beetlejuice. There's
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, really?
That sounds
Oh,
cool.
dude, there's a cool Tatooine
sounds really
moment
cool.
where you get to the Dune Sea and you see and hear the rumblings of the crate dragon. And if you're not careful, he'll snatch your ass up, right? And so there's oh yeah, man, there's all these little pearls. There's Sarlacc pits that you have to find. There's all this stuff on Tatooine. There's the moisture farms. I haven't found it yet, but supposedly there's a moisture farm that you can take over, and when you take
I'm
over,
the captain now.
Exactly.
you can take over the moisture farm, and it's like an unlimited credits hack. I haven't found that
Like
moisture
apparently
farm
it
yet.
farms the money. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That sounds cool too.
there's all these little, aside from the one the Matt Cave turned me on to when you're in the South Dune Sea, but I'm not going to mention that because Sheev hasn't gotten there yet. But you find a data pad that talks about stuff from you even find two people outside of a specific dwelling talking about stuff you see in the OT, right? You get to Tashi Station, and you're walking around that area, right? All of these little hints and pearls are just so worth $60, right?
That's so interesting. So if KOTOR is interesting, you made the parallels to KOTOR because in that game you could pretty much be whoever you wanted to be and like run shit. Can you do the same thing in Outlaws with her? And is it like a more linear story too, or like how are they doing that?
So there's three syndicates. Is the way it initially works is you have the three syndicates. You've got the Pikes, you've got the Crimson Dawn, and you got the Hutts, right? And so you and they are fighting for you to represent them. So as you gain respect points, right, by doing little missions for them or by whatever, trading data or like trading secrets, whatever, you get reputation points with one syndicate. It will drop the other syndicate. If you steal from a syndicate, I found this out the other day. If you're in a syndicate's area and you steal from them too much, you'll lose reputation points, right? So like you raise and gain reputation point. That's also deals with who you can trade with because you have merchants for each hut or for each syndicate that you can reach out to. So it deals with who you can trade with. It also deals with who comes after you when you're in different parts of the city, when you're in different parts of Tatooine. If you're like, the Hutts don't like me right now, so every time they see me, they're like, get him! And I'm like dodging the Hutt clan, right? So
as far as like story though, and like the mainline quests, there are points in the story where it's like the main quest has two objectives. So it's like either you're gonna screw over the Pikes or you're gonna screw over Crimson Dawn. but you will eventually hit the cut scene that is meant to be there at the end of those 2 missions, and it's either like, oh, I just helped Kira screw these guys over, or oh no, I just helped defend these guys against Crimson Dawn. So you're just kind of like in the mix no matter where you choose, but it's kind of like you can lean in with one syndicate more than the other if you choose.
So like KOTOR had the light and dark, right? Based on what
Mm-hmm.
you did. If you choked him up, if you choked a dude out that you should have saved, you lose reputation points on the light side. Your meter goes to the dark side. It's a lot like that. It's got that same feeling, but there's 3 different syndicates, right? And so,
dude, and there's like 3 or 4 initial ones, and then I've got like 6 now. So there's like more syndicates. There's syndicates that we just hear about. Like one of them, I want Conja Club. I don't know where they're at, but like,
Club,
them in here,
yes,
please?
dude, yes.
So I don't know. I don't know though. Expansions, maybe Lucasfilm.
Maybe.
But I think there's absolutely room for DLCs in this. I absolutely think there's room to add. I mean, because you start, you hear about this girl. She's from Canto Bight, so automatically you have a sequel era planet in the between Empire and Return of the Jedi. That's where the bookends are. You see Han Solo and Carbonite. You see Boba Fett at Jabba's palace. There's these things that we already know that are happening, but you still choose your own path, a lot like KOTOR, which I like. If you meet different people, they give you submissions. There's all this different stuff that feels very KOTOR, but it still has the controls and the graphics package of the Jedi Survivor series. So the controls feel exactly the same, which is great because you don't have to learn a new control set, right? The way you play Survivor is the way you play this, right? The way you mod your weapon is the same way you would mod your lightsaber on the workbenches. So there's a lot of similarities in that they kind of took from that.
Okay.
They're not identical, but they're similar and they feel the same. And then, you gather your squad and you get different stuff. It's deep. It's deeper than I thought it was going to be. I got to be really honest. I thought it was going to be like a boom, boom, boom. We're in and out. You get to side quests, all this, but I'm 14, 20 hours deep and I'm still on Tatooine because Matt turned me on to something. So I'm like, let's go see what else is on Tatooine. Let's
That's what I
go.
do in games like this. I wander. Like, I didn't leave that initial planet for the longest time. I had the capability of leaving for like several hours worth of gameplay, and I just kept grinding side missions. And I'm like, I just want to find everything and get more, build up my health and build up my blaster and all this stuff.
Right.
And then I'll go travel. But that's the cool thing about it, is that you can choose how you are going to go at it. You could head at the main story and go at it head on, like right out of the gate.
I'm really curious if there's going to be the 3 separate endings, like the endings of KOTOR, where you had the light and the dark based on where you were in KOTOR and how you finished the game. I'm curious if there's going to be 3 different variations of based on what syndicate you are in good reputation with or whatever.
Well, I'm hoping they do something to where like we can do what Darth Maul and Boba Fett were supposed to do and become like the God Queen Mother of that and run all 3 and like do our make a new Shadow Collective.
Well, that's kind of what Sleemo is doing. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's the one that kind of sets you with the wanted poster, right? He's the one that gets everyone after you. And so you actually have a bounty on your head. And
so I got to kill him and take his place.
You're actually trying to steal his loot. So the big treasure you're trying to steal and the team you're putting together and all this whole project is about stealing $157 million worth of product. And so you're trying to bankrupt this dude that's after you while also taking all his money and basically Cassian Andor in that shit without the arrest, without the false arrest. So, and again, it's got a lot of it's got a lot of pulled from this and pulled from that. It's got a lot of different feels to it. And I think that's why I like it. Like I said, the only thing I don't like is the speeder control. I crash that mother every time. And in the worst spots, I'll like crash into a pile of Imperial troopers, or I'll like crash right into a syndicate barbecue. and it's like, oh man, and every time
I crash into the wildlife all the time. They don't budge, but I go flying.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then-
How do you crash into a group of troopers and you're the one that goes flying in the air and they're like, get him?
Yeah. I hit
Yeah,
a
no,
dewback the other day.
that's-
Things just like I was like, okay.
What's the
good.
matter, Scotty? We can't have two females in Star Wars. They're the same character.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said
no,
shit,
I
it
was
should have
just-
been a Dr. Afra game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm thinking of every time they introduce a new character, like we are filling in storyline in the OT right now, but it's like just new unknown story when like this could have maybe been a Dr. Afra game, and like you maybe periodically run into Darth Vader throughout the story because she worked with him. Like, I don't know. It's just whenever
I don't
it's
know
new
if-
stuff, it's new stuff in an old timeline. It's just weird to me.
I think I get enough of Vader kind of bitching Dr. Afra around out in the books. I don't need to see them in the video game either.
I feel that too. Sacred.
At the
Leave
same
it
time,
there.
I feel like you were saying it is a new thing in an old era, but at the same time, I like how it's not affecting the new era, right? Like they don't like you can't kill Jabba in this game, right? Because he's got Leia's got to choke him to death with her leash in Jedi, so you can't really affect that in the long run. I'm hoping you meet Kira. at
So
some
you
point.
could do Gorak or Kira though easily,
Right.
or
Either of
something
those,
along those.
but yeah, Zarek Besh. That's who the big,
Yeah, the big baddie.
the big bad. That's who you're trying to steal his fortune. But ultimately, there's no retconning going on because we don't know who this character was to begin with. You're making side deals, but you're still seeing the Jabba's Rancor. You're still seeing, Carbonite, Han Solo.
Solo.
You're still running into Jabba at his palace, right? You're stealing Bib's. At one point, you steal a data card from him to get into a vault, right? There's all these little things that are going on, and then I think at some point, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I think at some point you hear something about Bib and his like side hustle to take over.
Yep.
And so
I think
it kind of feeds the Bib in the Mando Boba
Yeah,
Fett
dude.
timeline.
I think the main homie Slimo there or whatever has that direct conversation with him.
he does.
He like pulls him aside outside of the palace and he's like, "Listen, man, here's your opportunity. You help me out. You might be able to start your own thing here."
right.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
like,
That's a cool way to tie it in.
that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. There's all these. It doesn't have major implications on the fandom, on the story that is the original trilogy, but it tells you how Bib got the seat, how he got Jabba's throne after Jabba was. Those damn Skywalkers got him,
Mhm.
right? Like he had not, by no fault of Jabba of Bib's, he died, right? They almost got my ass too. So, yeah, there's all these. I think we lost Dan. I'm gonna take him out while his face is stuck like that because it's not fair. He'll get memed. Hey, there he is. He's back. Okay.
I was trying to comment in the chat while being on my phone.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, it adds a layer of cool. Now I know how Bib got that seat, right? So whether it was this dude's influence later, or just a thought he had already had in his head, and when Jabba's dead, he's like, "I'm here. I'm taking over. It's my chair." But it gives us some insight that just wasn't something that was thrown together. This was something that was going on before Jabba's demise. So there's so many good little pearls in this game. They really went out of their way. The producers really went out of their way to know the lore and not screw with anything, but still give us that nostalgic feeling through the game. I mean, I'm so far. I mean, I'm in. I'm gonna finish it by hook or by crook.
Oh yeah, man. It's a good point in the timeline too for this type of story because this is between Empire and Jedi, and the Empire has taken a big L with losing the Death Star, so now crime is kind of just run rampant. Like they're just like, oh, The Empire's not as unbeatable as we thought. So these syndicates are like, let's go.
Well, and regardless of what happened in Empire, Empire was really were small victories for the Empire, right? Empire Strike Back was not a large victory for the Empire in regards to what they accomplished, but they showed their might to a small group of people, right? The rebels. The rest of the galaxy was still doing its thing under the lead of Palpatine, but these rebels, they were getting the screws turned by Vader, right? And so it's just the focus during this time frame was not on keeping the streets civil. It was about snuffing rebellion. It was open war.
100%. And to your guys' point, and even to the whole point of like this time period, and almost not to like counter or anything, but like it almost is the perfect time period for a game like this. To your point, that's how we have so many opportunities to have things like Jabba showing up or Han Solo on the wall and different things, and having cool stuff like that in this time period, let alone all the different groups of organizations and things alongside it. And then to add to this, Palpatine kind of wanted there to be chaos and people, scoundrels, and going rampant in the galaxy, because it was an excuse to get more military to fight off against the rebellion, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was all part of his plan for this kind of stuff to be going down, which is almost even more reason for it to be the perfect time period for this to happen and for this game to be set, because it is kind of truly one of the most chaotic time periods because of how Palpatine set it all up.
Well, and the fact that you're not playing as a Jedi is even better, because you're not affecting the timeline, right? You're not affecting the hunt for Kenobi. You're not affecting, like, you're nobody to the Empire. You're just a thief, and they just want to catch you so they can imprison you or use you, right? They're not really interested in letting the masses know about you. They don't really care about you. It's like either kill them or use them or whatever, or put them in a prison to make more Death Star parts. But really, ultimately, they don't care about you unless you're wielding a lightsaber, right? Or unless you're a rebel during this
and
time.
even if you're the person that stole the most money from the Empire, or whatever the case that happens with this game, like that's not something the Empire wants to be public knowledge.
Well,
we
learned that in Andor, right? Like they had the same kind of heist, but you're not stealing from the Empire this time. You're stealing from one dude. The Empire just happens to be in the background. And maybe that's what I like the most about the game. You're not, the only reason you're hunted by the Empire is because you're doing shit for the syndicates behind the Empire's back. They're not after you. They don't even know who you are. You're a face on a poster to them, right? And maybe that's what I like about the game so much, is that it has no implications into the grand scheme of where they put this game in the timeline. You're literally just a scoundrel, right? The only reason they wanted Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon is because he's the one that knocked Vader out of the sky and let the Death Star get shot. So he's automatically now a general in the rebellion, and he's banging the princess. But aside from that, they don't care about the scoundrel. They don't care about the thief. The syndicates care about that shit, right? So, yeah, oh man, it's Sabacc. How fun is Sabacc?
I gotta get so much better at it. I'm finally starting to understand it, because you know what it was? You could play
they let you
Sabacc
play
back
that?
in KOTOR.
Oh,
But-
there's a new Sabacc. They call it Kessel Sabacc.
I was gonna say it's technically not the original, and
It's It's not the original. There's no Idiot's Array. There's no it's not like poker.
Yeah.
And I like that they called it something different. It's Kessel Sabacc. It's not just Sabacc.
Yep.
And so I think they're using a Sabacc deck, but more like blackjack would be used instead of poker.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more like
100%.
blackjack. Yep.
So it's a really fun game. It's really interesting because you can also collect, not only are you playing the game, but there's these tile cards, these tile chips that you're playing with. That give you bonus abilities during your turn. So one of them is like retrieve 2 coins. So you play that before your turn, you get 2 coins back, or take a coin from everybody else. And so there's strategic chips that you can use. Plus, Nyx can can totally spy on the other people to find out what they have
I love that.
in their hands. It's dude, the sabacc. I could sit there and play sabacc for an hour and just have a good time. It's great. So there's card games, there's video games, there's the game mission, there's side missions, there's side hustles. None of it has lightsabers. There's no Darth Vader. There's only scoundrels and bounty hunters that you see, right? I'm curious if we're going to see Bosk. I'm curious if we're going to see any of these other potential bounty hunters in Jabba's palace.
Oh,
or
so
around.
you haven't played the full game, Obsession?
No, none of us have. That's why I kind of wanted to get the first look, because I think everybody here is in the first like half of the game.
Yeah,
and I'm
in,
going to be
maybe
generous.
like 25th or 26th hour or
That's
so.
what I'm saying.
Somewhere around there.
So there are some things I know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't watched a lot of videos. I haven't. The only people I'm watching are.
Boy, I ain't saying shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Honestly,
man,
you could end up playing sabacc for hours if you wanted to, because at
yeah.
a point you actually start getting invited to like high rollers tables,
Yeah.
right?
and then it's like it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now that does sound fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you get invited to these other rooms, and then all of a sudden, like Nyx gets caught cheating, and so you're like, sometimes you can't control the animals,
Thank you,
and
CT.
so
CT
there's,
knows what's up.
yeah, CT knows what's up. Yeah, see, there's a bunch of people that are done. I've only played on the channel. I'm trying to devote this play because, like, when Fallen Order came out and Survivor, I could play that offline and then catch everybody up. I'm trying to play everything online so everybody can kind of watch as we go through. But there's still a lot to go through, man, and it's deep and it's fun, and it feels like KOTOR. I played the remastered KOTOR on the Switch and then on another version, and it just has that feel. When you're in the game, you're just like, man, if I had a lightsaber, this would be KOTOR.
It's,
right?
It's immersive.
That part
for
me.
Yeah.
I know everyone is like praising it, but it's just like, for me, it's not Jedi Survivor.
Nope.
And that game and that storyline is just leagues above where we're at in this game, man. And it's a very I don't know, I hate calling it this, but I feel like it's for casuals. No offense. I know you're enjoying all these old school Easter eggs, but the people that are looking for how the hell are we moving the story forward in Star Wars? Like, can we get to like some true plot lines that are going to mean anything in the future? Every storyline, and I'll even go as far as saying this with the shows. Most shows that have a plot line that's going to dead end eventually and not blow past where we are lose steam, lose a lot of momentum.
What a wonderful segue. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata.
Hey, I ain't got no worries. I'm just saying I need some lore. I need some lore here.
Is that what a wonderful transition. You're so wonderful. Is that why Acolyte has the least amount of legs? Is that part of the reason?
Is going to watch that shit at least 100 times over the week, because that's
honestly,
I'll get its numbers up.
Acolyte was amazing, but is that
Mark Quimir, the actor, was at Dragon Con this week, and he's so happy he wants a season 2. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but he was there talking about it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, cool. The actors were so hyped and they worked so hard. I mean, just. Look, and we could go back to, because this group hasn't gotten together since Acolyte finished. I think everybody is caught up. So it's, what a wonderful segue. But is that one of the reasons why Acolyte doesn't have the legs that everything else does? Because it doesn't directly tie into the current story.
No, you can't use that argument, because it's set near the High Republic era, and there are High Republic fans. One of them's right here above me, like right there.
Okay, but
I'm the one who's saying it. And,
I'd probably be the second biggest High Republic fan here, quote unquote. I don't know about Obsession or anybody else necessarily, but yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though. I know Scotty's a big fan of it. I like it a decent amount, but I'm gonna be the first to say there's probably way less, I don't know, High Republic fans than there are casual Star Wars fans, and even then, I feel like not every
Okay,
casual
bro.
Star Wars fan watched Acolyte.
When I get around to watching it and we come back to this conversation, then I might end up liking it. You might have two, me and Obsession versus you two, if
Well,
that's the
look,
case.
Well,
look,
I love Acolyte.
I
The
think
point that I wanted
loved
to
it.
make
I
real
thought it
quick
was
before
good.
we move on
But
is that
there's still
Okay.
Acolyte is the first thing that, as the huge positive Star Wars fan as I am, there's definitely criticisms, and I can see
sure.
not exactly why it was canceled. I don't think it was deserving of being canceled, but I can see why it didn't work, at least in today's society. You know what I mean? Like with
Sure.
it was getting shat on before, part of my
It
language,
was.
before it even started. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
okay.
it
But
was.
it
I mean,
100% was.
granted,
But was that the fault of the show?
I never said it was.
Or was no? I'm just I'm
I'm 100%
placing
with you. I
blame.
get you.
I'm getting to a.
I know you are.
I'm feeding the frenzy. Is that more of a? I think that's Kathleen's fault, and I don't usually say that out loud. I think that has to do more with Kathleen and the director doing what Disney does wrong every time, and letting their directors and have free reign to open their mouths and say what they want, and it leads to this narrative that the clickers and the writers at the Daily Planet and all the other places that they publish this stuff go. So yeah,
real quick.
Please.
No, you don't have to you don't have to do all that, but like I was gonna finish my sentence by saying that like it doesn't have legs because of Plagueis. Like all High Republic aside, like it roadblocks and stops right at Plagueis. If that storyline's not gonna go forward with him, there's no interest in any of that other stuff. I think you're gonna see a fall off with Andor too. No lie. I think you're gonna see a big drop off with Andor. Because people know what's going to happen in that storyline. I think Ahsoka has long legs. You know,
Well,
no
Andor
pun
didn't
intended.
have as many, in my opinion, as the others initially at the beginning. I think fandom wise, we all loved it. I don't numbers wise, I don't think it
Nerds
did
carried that show
quite as
in the
great.
beginning.
well, and
And
it's funny.
I'm
'cause-
also kind of confused though, because I'm like I didn't fully understand what you were trying to say there. I'm like Scott, and I'm just like I
Why
don't know.
what the Acolyte show and why it didn't do well?
Yeah, just in
I'm
general. But you were talking
so
about
what I'm
Plagueis,
saying
I'm
is like you guys are going down a whole rabbit hole about society and people's views about all that. All I'm saying is the reason why shows like that don't have long
that
lasting
wasn't
legs
even.
is because we know where the plot is going to end.
well,
like,
yes, okay.
With Plagueis showing up,
Okay.
these characters will be irrelevant eventually. So I feel like
Well,
that's a big
sure.
part of it.
I mean, should they?
But you
should
guys
they
were
have?
talking about how it was getting like
No,
bad.
no,
stuff.
That-
it was.
That was just my opinion on
I
how
agree, too.
the public, at least how the media. I wasn't even watching Acolyte when it aired. I was away. I was taking mental health time to stay away from all the bullshit, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Well,
I'm very glad I did. But
Agreed.
as someone that stayed out of all of that stuff, the show was getting negative publicity months and months and like when it first was announced, and it was announced that there was an LGBT person directing the show, or being the showrunner, before she even spoke Obsession, people were shitting on it. And
Well, that's what- but
there was
that's what I'm
negative
saying.
publicity
And-
before she even spoke. And I
Sure.
agree with you. They need to take her out of the camera, because there's some things where I was just like, come on,
Well,
dude,
okay.
you're just
You're not making
digging
it
your own
easier.
grave. Like,
Yeah.
So number one, we go back to and I like to hold people's feet to the fire, right? I'm a big believer in if you're wrong on something, or if there's a controversial view, I think you should have to show your receipts, right? I'm a big fan of receipts. In this
Oh,
regard,
like that other guy.
like that other guy. In this regard, I feel like the receipts here show, yes, the fandom had a shit fit when Leslie got hired. Number one, they were already upset that Kathleen isn't fired, but that's a whole other campaign. So Leslie gets hired, automatically it's Harvey Weinstein's assistant, it's LGBTQ, it's yada yada, the usual headlines, let's call them. And then Leslie comes out and says what she wants to do with the show. Okay, then there's some dramatic pause. Yes, we're gonna get there. We're not there yet, but we're gonna get
I
there.
would say that
We're not there
what she
yet.
wanted to do with the show wasn't even what I had an
Okay.
issue with, and even then,
But
what
then,
she did with it,
Oh,
it was
then
great.
this is a
I don't
Ray
care.
movie.
we
Um,
get into the writers' room, and all of a sudden there's a comment. If I believe in it's this show,
Yeah,
a comment
it was
that
this
comes
show.
out that says
100%.
you don't have to have watched Star Wars to know Star or to
Well,
write Star
one
Wars.
one of the people in the writers' room said that it was said that they had never seen Star Wars.
Right. Okay. Now, the problems that occurred with the show could be attributed to writers that may or may not know Star Wars. However, if Leslie is such a fan as she says she is, and she is the person in the most superior position on a film set, how did this get past the goalie?
I mean, we really need to pull up the full articles because there's a lot of context you guys are leaving out.
I would say, what are we
said
even?
that she said that she was okay having someone in the writer's room who was not familiar with Star Wars because every time she made a decision that was like not a good decision, there were people in the room that knew it was not a good decision and said, nope, sorry, can't do that. Here's our notes. Go back and try again.
Right.
I don't understand the outrage. A
I
good
don't
writer
either.
coming in, holy shit! I don't know anything about
But-
Star Wars, but I could write a better story than you, and you're a fucking like old Republic. You know, you
But at
you
the
winning
same
all this
time-
shit on the trivia's down at the local bar. Like,
But
what
it does. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that happened before the show started.
and people
right.
took a lot of that shit out of context.
Before the show had even really shot a frame, they had already brought out their torches and brought out their
That's what I
picket
was saying.
signs, and there was already a negative narrative on the show before before the cast had been cast, right? These people go on to this show goes on, not these people, but Disney, I guess these people go on to have this negative narrative on their show before they've even cast a single person. Now, I was not a big fan of Russian dolls. Leslie's body of work doesn't necessarily speak to me. But as a director, the show wasn't. This is going to be a loose term. The show wasn't as bad, in my opinion, as the mistakes in Boba Fett.
That's fair.
Right? I feel like
I love Boba Fett. That's
I
why
love Boba Fett also.
I love Boba.
I love
Fett.
everything.
But I don't even disagree with you.
I need a crown that says the King of Shills so I can brand it, right? But Emperor Shilpatine, right? I take your narrative, right? But all these shows have problems, right? The fundamental, all of them in all regards. Kenobi had a little bit of problems, right? For me, Boba Fett had its own bag of issues, right? And Andor was actually really great. But this show has had its problems from inception. And I think that canceling it this early after release and to take the merch off the shelves, right? I'm worried, and Matt can attribute to this.
Decision.
Exactly. And my fear is that they are going to Mighty Ducks this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's my ultimate fear, is that they're going to Mighty Ducks this motherfucker.
That's
And-
when we were
Well, it
talking
means I'm
about
gonna
that
love
a
it.
little while back, is that if they give it that treatment, they set the precedent. They set the precedent with Mighty Ducks, and they set it with Willow. Willow
I would
being
say
the
that
big-
Willow
the
is
bigger one.
the yeah. Let's be
They
real.
got the same treatment.
Yeah, it was. If they're willing to do that with the Star Wars property, I think
Very
that's
dangerous.
a huge,
That would
dangerous
be
thing to do.
a bad move.
Very dangerous.
And here's the thing, like I'll give my 2 cents real quick about Acolyte. We've talked about it in the past and everything, but as I didn't watch the stuff leading up to it. I didn't watch the behind the scenes things, and I didn't know who Leslie Headland was until this show existed. We watched stuff together after the fact, and then I watched the show because I didn't want anything spoiled. And I watched the show, and you guys know it didn't land for me. And my biggest disappointment was it was underwhelming. And there was some stuff that was really good. We talked in Discord about a couple things that happened in the show where I was like, wow, that was really, really cool. But for everything that was really cool,
That's
2 or
good
3
way to
things
put it.
were underwhelming. I'll give you an example. The crystal bleeding. That was something I've wanted to see for like the longest time. And literally, like, it's like, you know, here's the thing, and I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm going to go like this. And we're going to hold on this for a couple minutes. And the thing's going to slowly turn red. And now I'm a Sith. But it was a show about Sith, at least it was supposed to be, but it was marketed wrong. And that was the thing, like, things that could have been incredibly epic and really, really cool were underwhelming. And that's why it didn't land for me. I was like, oh, it was kind of, you missed the mark. I don't think the show is nearly as bad as people make it out to be. And I think the behind the scenes people got in their own way, like they do with pretty much everything these days. But they have to start to move away from that with these future projects. That's the only way something like the Rey movie has even an ounce of a chance to be successful. And the Rey
Is that
movie will push
even
things forward.
happening in that?
Yes, yes.
Well, I mean, look, the you know, like CT says, we were promised a story about the Sith, and we got a love story, and we got about sisters, right? Which is great. I did. Look, there's no way.
God, I'm gonna rebuttal on that in a minute. Keep going
Okay.
though.
But there's nothing I love more than a show about brothers, right? I have brothers. I literally do unthinkable things for my brothers, right? Because that's just what family does. And this was a story about sisters. Cool. I don't have a problem with that. But we were also promised a very heavy Sith presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed the lightsaber, the crystal, the bleeding crystal scene. I thought it was a really interesting way to illustrate that without a meditation sequence, right? In a moment of rage, right? And if you haven't been in a position where you just want to throw things against the wall in a moment of rage, then you don't know what it's like to bleed a crystal. But those little things weren't the things that I feel were bothersome. And I'm gonna let Sheev go so that
No, you're good. You can keep going. I'm writing notes.
but look, ultimately this was a story about sisters, and that's cool and all, and there were some there was some problems. There were some problems in the way it was presented. I think they could have left the Plagueis scene for a coming next season, right? Instead of
so that's where I'll hop in now because that's where my rebuttal is everybody's like, oh, like, or at least I've heard this complaint a lot that there wasn't a big Sith present, or this and that. There wasn't that much Sith, and sure, for a lot of the show, that's what I'm saying. For a lot of the show, there sure wasn't. But I remember watching episodes like 4, 5, and 6, maybe episode 7 too. At one point, it was like I don't even know how many episodes there are now.
Everything's like 8 now.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
Yeah.
But I remember in that period, we got that kind of, Osho was starting to learn with, what was that dude's name? The Stranger?
Khmer?
Yeah.
Khmer?
Khmer, the Stranger, whatever. If that was even his real name. He is probably one of the best characters in the show. But with them kind of putting that in, he was starting to trickle in some of that Sith knowledge, and he was obviously the acolyte or the pupil of Plagueis at this time, which is like she is clearly setting it up for a season 2 where that was gonna be obviously prominent in the show, and Osha was gonna be with him training as an acolyte to the pupil of Plagueis, and we're probably gonna see the Plagueis backgrounds. And heck, my whole thing is that Star Wars shows are never freaking just supposed to be one season. Granted, Kenobi, sure. That was designed to be a 1-season show.
Mhm.
But most of these
Tell-
shows, people
tell
do
my
not
script is
have.
done.
Everybody has a peanut-sized brain these days in terms of attention span, myself included. I will be the first to admit. But the fact that we can't just sit here for a season and just, watch and observe throughout the entire season before we start just crashing on a show is just absurd, let alone the fact that we get it canceled because of the negativity around it so much, to the fact where when they actually do set up something that's interesting at the end of the season that could lead to an incredible season 2 or season 3, we get the whole freaking show canceled because we're just such a great freaking fandom. It's like,
Well, okay,
Go
so
off,
dude.
bro. Go
so
off.
it's funny
Damn.
because I wear it's funny because somebody actually said this in public the other day. They're like, you wear a lot of Star Wars stuff. and to my reply, I was like, yeah, I have a small obsession. And then, in my head, I'm doing some, yeah, I'm
Yes.
definitely doing all that in that time frame. So, it's, and so we start talking about the show, and she's like, well, what'd you think about Acolyte? And I was like, oh, I thought it was great. And, didn't say much more than that. And the instant I said it was something positive, this person starts gushing about the show. Right. It's almost like I don't like talking about it because a lot of the people I talk to or a lot of the stuff I see is so negative.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, I haven't told anybody that, if you're not watching my content, I don't go out there in the public and wear my logos and stuff. I wear generic stuff. But all from, stuff that we make here at the channel. And so we start having this in-depth conversation about it. And the consensus I get in the public, the muggles love it. Right? The muggles love it. And it's such a shame that, we have, it's just so visceral. It's so rapid of a reaction. The knee-jerk reaction by Disney is the most disturbing. Look, I expect the usual suspects to shit on these shows, to shit on these games. I've said it tens of thousands of times before this channel was monetized. I will continue to say it. The hate and the negativity will spread farther and wider and gain more clicks end over end than anything we say in this positive space. However, these channels do their business and they get their clicks and they make their money. That is fair game. The problem is Disney giving them bait. The problem is not even bait, it's chum. Right? You're giving them something to feed on by canceling a show with such a knee-jerk reaction. Right? And I'm not just talking about
That
YouTubers.
part.
I'm talking about the Daily Wires. I'm talking about the Inquisitors. I'm talking about the Daily Planets. Right? You're giving more narrative that the show was negative when it really wasn't. When, again, it's on a platform that's a pay platform, number one. It's not accessible to the masses. So you're not really getting a true measure of whether it's liked or not, because there's probably viewing parties with friends. There's probably like, hey, I'm watching Acolyte tonight. Cool, grab some beers and come over, right? It's not number for number of viewer for viewer, right? The petitions are stupid. I'm sorry. Disney's not going to listen to your 75,000 person petition. They're just not going to give a shit. Yeah. It's a shame that Disney has such a knee-jerk reaction to these things instead of letting them play out over time. Because if you would have had such a knee-jerk reaction to the sequel trilogy, you would have nowhere to go now. If you decided to take that down and balk and let this negative narrative run you, that's all Disney's doing. You're literally letting the negative narrative created by fans and journalists that have the biggest voices
100%.
run you and own you.
To add to that, CT in the chat said it shouldn't be about money. It should be about great storytelling. It 100% should be. And that, to your point, Obsession, they literally let the narrative run through the masses 90% of the time. And especially with this show, like we're talking about from the beginning with it getting crapped on. And to my, to everybody's point here with the lower viewership numbers and the whole reason it didn't fail, you got all of that going on. And then I will say again, I still like Acolyte a lot, and I think it's a good show. And I thought there was room for an incredible second, future to the story. But overall, I will be, one of the first to admit it was kind of mid. It was just, a par above okay, and at least a little bit more than that at times. It definitely at times did not hit, like Matt Cave is saying. Overall it did for a whole, but you got a show that's not hitting, especially right off the beginning. And I liked the first 2 episodes. Even the third one was actually one of my favorites, but you got that weird stupid. I hated the scene because it was in such a good episode to me, but there was not enough VFX, and it was just such a sloppy scene. The whole thing looked like we've seen other, rituals and stuff, and then they got that ritual in episode 3 where the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. It was like, dude, this is the most ridiculous Star Wars scene we've ever seen. Like, you could have at least put a little bit more money into, adding some stuff. So yes, it wasn't the greatest Star Wars show ever.
No,
but then you got it to where it's not the greatest Star Wars show ever. It has all this LGBTQ stuff and negativity also around it. It's going to get low viewership because people like me are also going through shit and don't have time to watch it or wanted to stay away from some of that negativity. So then I'm not telling my friends and family about, go watch The Acolyte, because I'm barely watching it at that point. Right. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Look, like I said, all shows have problems. And Leslie absolutely brought a narrative that she is passionate about into a show that already has a negative narrative in this space of the wokeosphere.
Well, right? And then she didn't kill it with the show either. And that's my, I'm all for the LGBT stuff in the media, and I don't totally, it belongs there, sure. But kill it if you're going to fucking put it there, because otherwise you're giving room for these motherfuckers to start talking trash about you.
Well, look, it wasn't even about, for me, it wasn't even about things like that. The idea of the power of many or the power of two isn't something new to Star Wars as a whole, right? So, we see other instances of Jedi helping Jedi in regards to, meditation or this, that, or the other. That part doesn't get me because it is a, religion, whatever. But yes, could they have gone without that scene? Sure. Could they have shot that scene different to make it better? Yes. Did they have to be so up front and center with the parade of witches in a space of this? No. What would have been way cooler was to see 2 hooded figures hanging out on a cliff watching them do this, right? That would have been a much cooler way to illustrate both things at the same time, right? So again, agenda aside, I don't really care about people's agenda. I don't really care about agendas. My opinion, you do you. I don't care how you live your life. It's not important to how I live mine. However, I say it again. Number 1, keep your directors on a tight leash. You should not be doing media tours before the show is out. Number 1, first and foremost. And the only thing you should be doing on a media tour is when you get hired saying, it's such an honor to work for Lucasfilm and for Disney. I look forward to the collaboration with the genius men and women at Lucasfilm. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to showing you some brilliance. End of quote. Checkmate. I'm out. Their PR department sucks giant balls because they don't keep anybody in check and they let everybody run rampant. And then here's my issue. Look, I am not a fighter for anybody's agenda. However, if you're going to let Leslie and Amandla and whoever else have their platform, I'll go back, Mark Hamill, go back to, there was another one that had a really, Bill Burr. He's very boisterous about his opinions. And you're going to let these people say what they want, but yet you're going to blackball somebody like Gina for her views. Now, granted, I don't agree with anybody's particular views. I'm just saying there's a little bit of a bias, right? And it's unfortunate. I think they should contractually keep all these people under a very strict NDA.
I gotta get out of this parking lot. I'm gonna catch you.
Do you? Good to see you, Dan.
Later, man.
It's very look. They're the ones doing the most damage to the brand. Are the actors and the directors voicing their opinions, putting their causes out there, and branding them to the show. Look, have your cause, but don't brand your cause to the show you're shooting, because it adds another layer for the masses to attack you. Let your body of work speak for your body of work, and let your agenda speak for your agenda. You don't have to add your agenda into the body of work that doesn't need it. It's already got its own issues, right? So, look, I respect everybody's opinion. I respect everybody's agenda. But ultimately, these people were hired to create a body of work that not only will be great visually, but will also hit with the fandom. And yes, there are moments in these shows that are very, very, very off-putting and that you want to fast forward through. But you're kind of hoping that somebody was going to push that band of witches into that pit, right? While you're watching it. You're secretly like, oh man, is somebody going to push them in the pit right now? That would be awesome, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, right? So
something to kind of compare this to how different the state of Star Wars overall has become because of the way the behind the scenes people interject everything. It's take Acolyte and compare it to the Clone Wars, right? Clone Wars is one of the most praised shows ever in the Star Wars franchise. But here's the thing. When that came out, there wasn't all this behind the scenes BS going on. And that show had to prove itself. And it took a long time to prove itself. In fact, that show was canceled twice.
Ahsoka was the most hated Star Wars character ever to hit the screen when she debuted. And
but it was allowed to gain ground. It was allowed to grow legs. And
it technically didn't belong to Disney. Technically,
it was George. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say because George Lucas had a vision for it too, but also, you know,
well, George went. Let's be real.
He did.
George went broke making that show.
He did, and then he had to sell Star Wars essentially, and eventually because of it, in a sense.
Like, let's be real. For its greatness, it bankrupted the man that created it, right? And look, I love those kind of artists, the kind that are going to get broke or work themselves to death to create masterpieces. I'm all about that.
100%.
But go back to the first season of Clone Wars, though. Think back to it. It's rough. There's some weird stuff in there, and it's making me worry too about the Skeleton Crew, because Clone Wars didn't have crazy good viewership. It was a kid show.
It was awful.
Going, but I'm gonna add to that.
Right. So now Skeleton Crew's on the way, and the trailer I think looks really fun. I mean, the whole idea of like Goonies meets Lost in Space meets Star Wars sounds great. Here's the problem. Viewership is going to be low because it's a kid's show. And if you have all this behind the scenes stuff to add on to that as well, oh my God, this thing may be dead out of the gate.
So to earlier, I think, Scotty, you were saying you thought maybe people weren't as interested, or, you know, maybe didn't watch as much because they know what the ending is going to be. To kind of counter that and to even add to his point, Clone Wars didn't get a lot of viewership because it's an animated show.
Yes.
Point blank. It's an animated show that was kind of centered towards kids at the beginning. Even now today, I still think it's, as much as it is one of the most praised Star Wars shows, or probably one of the most, it's still probably the most slept on too.
Yeah, I have not finished Rebels. I have not watched every episode,
funny.
But I watched the last season, and that was hype when that came out.
It's funny because fuck it. People that say they hate Disney Star Wars, right? Fans that outright channels that outright state they hate Disney Star Wars. They won't watch anything that's Disney Star Wars. Refuse to watch the Clone Wars. And it's like
Cartoon Network.
that number one,
90% of it was
number one, it was
under George.
number one, it was Cartoon Network. Number two, it was George Lucas in his entirety, his truest vision. And number three, it didn't get picked up by Disney XD until it's canceled from and that's when Disney started to go, shit, Star Wars can be profitable. Right? They're like, we can make something of this, right? Is because it started to air on Disney XD way later. I think season 6 might have aired
late.
Disney XD. It was
Yeah,
late.
I would say the first show was Rebels. That was the
Yes.
first thing that came out under Disney.
But what I'm
because
saying is,
they
I think that
canceled it.
Clone Wars, I think
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the later
No, I get
seasons
you.
of Clone Wars, I want to say season 6 or late in season, because I think it like canceled mid-season or something, and they came
Yeah, it
back
comes
on
to
Disney
abrupt
XD.
ending.
It was
Yeah.
it was a weird time because they were like, it's canceled, it's back, it's canceled, it's on a
Well,
different network, it's
It was
canceled.
canceled from Star Wars from Cartoon Network, and at one
Right.
point Netflix had the rights, and they aired
Right.
the 6th season or whatever on
Right.
there, or whatever the case
The
was.
lost
And-
season, right?
yeah, and then after that, once Disney had it and canceled it, they brought it back for that. The
But
7th.
my point being is that these channels and these people that say I won't watch Disney Star Wars, therefore I won't watch Clone Wars. Okay, great. You know that just the last season that's Disney, right? All the rest of the seasons are George Lucas and Dave Filoni. Like it's just George Lucas. Dave was animating. Yes, he was getting the apprenticeship at the time, not really knowing it, but he was hired as an animator because he did such a great job on Avatar. Right.
The father,
So-
the son, and the daughter are also George's.
Right. And so all of this stuff that everybody talks about that they hate and they don't like, and Disney F this and F that, I mean, it's to me,
is how
it's
it came out.
comical. Yeah.
This didn't air.
yeah,
This is the 6th season and probably contains some of the best Star
Best,
Wars episodes
yeah.
ever.
Best stuff.
And it never aired.
Yeah. I mean, but
was
that's
great.
what I'm saying is you want to say, well, I'm the truest Star Wars fan. Fuck Disney Star Wars. I'm a George Lucas Star Wars fan. Then by not watching his finest work, if you think the O3 trilogy is his finest work, you are a deluded fellow. The Clone Wars was his swan song, right? The Clone Wars was his, I can't even name the greatest of greats, right? Because that's what the Clone Wars was. It was a story. It was the story you guys all wanted. The story of Anakin Skywalker's journey from episode 2 to episode 3. And that's exactly what they gave you. His entire journey through knighthood. Becoming a master. Why he wanted to be a master so much. You learn why he's so goddamn arrogant in episode 3. Because literally, at this point when we see him in episode 3, his master is cowering below a boulder. He's standing on top of that boulder, dodging blaster bolts with the Force, going, "What are you doing down there?" Right? Like, he is at his peak during this time, and you get to figure out how it happened. Right? You
Yep.
get to figure out what made this young lovesick puppy the most feared person in the entire galaxy without the dark suit, right? You get to see even all the droids, all the commanders are like, "Ah, shit." Everybody's looking at each other like, "Ah, shit, right? Like it's a legit thing. And to keep that body of work out of your knowledge base is hypocritical.
That's exactly it, though. All that being said, people will still to this day not watch a damn second of it because it's animated. And just
Yep.
because to add to for all of this to be said, I don't even think it necessarily was the Acolyte. People knew what the ending was going to be because I don't think any of us necessarily knew Plagueis was going to be it. We all hoped, or we're like, oh, like they should do this. You know what I mean?
What a stroke of brilliance, though.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like we didn't know for sure. Like nobody knew for sure when Acolyte started how this was going to end. Like we know for sure at some point it's going to catch up to the prequels. But that's the whole thing, in my opinion, of why it got lower viewership. Is not because people knew what the ending was going to be, because people don't know the time period. People who the frick knows that's the thing. There's way more casual fans than there are High Republic fans. And that's what I was trying to say earlier is like most people don't know what the High Republic is and don't really care about 200 years prior to the Star Wars or, prior to the Skywalker saga. True. And then you're going to add in all this negative publicity to it. It's like,
well, even the way that they set, I mean, even the time period that they set the show in, it wasn't really very High Republic. The most High Republic thing was seeing the people on Coruscant and the team they took to that one planet. Other than that, it felt very much like, just the Star Wars we're used to. Right.
Yeah. And that's honestly one of my favorite parts of the show is honestly the feel and the... In the dungeon! Turn around in the dungeon! Thought you ought to know.
I haven't done it in a long time.
I haven't seen that in ages.
I know. I couldn't help myself.
That's great. One of my favorite parts of that show, though, is the fact that we're seeing a new time period of Star Wars. Like, it's truly fascinating to kind of explore this.
And this was my argument during the weekly streams. This was my argument on Mondays. Was during the show's run is this is what everybody was complaining for years. Everybody was saying, take me away from the Skywalker timeline so you don't mess with my Star Wars. Right? Take me away from this timeline. Get me out of the Palpatine run. Right? That's what that's what literally every single Star Wars thread wanted. Right? Every channel had been saying it for at least a year. Take me out of this time frame. Right?
Obsession, but Ki-Adi-Mundi is not that old, bro.
Right. And look, again, I go back to my previous statements. There are problems. Right? There are problems. Now, I can say, should Plagueis, we don't really know how old Plagueis was, right? I pulled the book out.
When people started saying that he was not supposed to be alive at this time period or he would be 12, I'm like, you're going based off the EU. Like,
right.
What are you talking about?
and this is what I've been saying about Star Wars erasing the legends in EU is
you're lucky he's a mun.
Thank you. And you're lucky he looks so good. How good did he look? Right? Like, holy shit, man. You complain and complain and complain. Who was it that looked like shit?
Should have been a Kaminoan.
The Grand Inquisitor looked like shit. Right? And everybody was like, oh, but you did it in the prequels. You did it so well. Right. You couldn't have just pulled that mask out of the archives and just used that for the Grand Inquisitor. But this, like, Plagueis looked amazing. Right? Just good. That one frame, all of that looked amazing. Aside from how old he's supposed to be, aside from where we are in the timeline, aside from the sister love story, aside from the witch coven of aside from all of that, the lightsaber battles were bitchin'. Right? Chrysosis being used in live action was amazing. Right? The helmet, finding out the helmet is like a youngling training helmet was amazing. The court, all of this is all of these things that we didn't think were going to be used. Like, if you would have said, oh, they're going to use this from, from KOTOR, right? Something they barely mention, by the way. Mm-hmm. And they bring it up and they use it. And the way they used it was really awesome. And you had to go back and watch, like, how the hell did he do that? Oh, I didn't know he had gauntlets on, right? There's all this different stuff that you're starting to find. There was so much cool shit in here. There was so much room to grow, right? Here's the thing that everybody's missing. You know what we're going to be missing out on? And I'm still holding out hope because I'm the hopeless idiot, or I'm the hopeful idiot. The thing I am hoping for the most the most, more than anything, is that this show does get picked up for a second season. And the thing that could make this, the thing we could be missing is the Sith Apprentice Wars, right? The Sith Apprentice Wars that lead us to season 3 that could be 50 years down the line when Sheev is born, right? Like that we could see so many Sith apprentices come through, because that's what Plagueis did. He had collected apprentices, and then eventually they all fought.
For anybody to think that Plagueis was probably only 12 years old at this time period, we're talking about the dude that, according to Palpatine, was the closest to figuring out immortal life.
I'm gonna use them all tonight, boys. I'm gonna use them all.
Like,
There's only one left.
I don't know.
There's only one
If
left.
anybody could have extended their life, though, and been, around for a couple hundred years, or taught Palpatine to maybe been around longer than he should have, and Palpatine
Yes.
was around way longer than he should have been,
Yes.
it would have been Plagueis.
Well,
You know,
and that's
like,
and look, I mean, for those people who haven't read Plagueis, right?
guilty as charged.
If you haven't read Plagueis, if you haven't downloaded the audiobook, do yourself a favor. Number one, because it's the audiobook is fantastic because of the narrator, right? It's like the Ahsoka book illustrated by Ashley. It's amazing. Number one, but you'll learn a few things in there, and you'll read how the difference between Plagueis's ongoing argument of immortality versus or force essence transfer versus metachlorian manipulation, right? This was the ongoing argument, right? And so in the end, we find out that, obviously we know at the end, if you read the book, you'll find out how Palpatine kills his master and becomes the Sith all, whatever. But ultimately, there's this ongoing argument about force transfer versus metachlorian manipulation, and could it have been Plagueis that caused the birth of Anakin? Because of what Palpatine and Plagueis were doing together, that caused the virgins, and we're going to use that word loosely nowadays because everybody thinks it's like virgins, not virgins, right?
Wasn't that exactly what it was in Acolyte, though? It was a virgins that brought the sisters to life, or
We
essentially?
don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, something with the
Egg.
Yeah, it was vague. The planet, I think, was the virgins.
The
and
planet
then
could have been the
something-
virgins.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't that
The
vague.
that holiest of holies could have
mean,
been
were-
the virgins.
Were they
Like,
wasn't it-
clones?
Wasn't
Were they-
Dan-
No, no, they
virgins?
weren't. They explained it pretty well, in my opinion, or at least I felt like I had a decent understanding based on what I
I
kind
thought I did until people started to try to explain it to me again.
From my understanding, it was just granted, I don't know if one of them was pregnant or how that happened necessarily, but it sounded like the force had converged in a place where it was strong enough for them to influence the midichlorians to create
The one
life.
mother did say she carried them, so that did
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
But
So
at the
that's-
same time, it seems like them bitches are liars.
Well, they
That's what a lot of
definitely
people think.
That
they
seems
definitely
like-
split the cells of one being into two. I'll tell
well,
you
they
that much.
definitely they are. Yes, they definitely is some kind of genetic manipulation. I don't think that's so much. If it is vergence, meaning the power of the planet and in this particular space helped create
That's the thing, though. That's
and
It could have gone
them.
it could have been so cool. They
It
could have
could've-
gone
there's-
anywhere they wanted.
They could have.
But-
They really could have. And
that's
they,
again, and that could be something that they were potentially developing for season 2. I think, in my opinion, because it feels like
that's what
to-
they
you get-
say. I don't
you
trust
guys
them
were saying
bitches.
though this show felt like a show about sisters, and like I get what you're saying, but also they're not sisters, they're one
Mhm.
being, and that's the whole thing. I don't think it's a show about sisters. I think it's a show about a dark side being that was created using a virgins in the force, which is probably some similar or somehow related to how Anakin was created,
Mhm.
and probably would have led to more dark side knowledge because it did have trinkles of that would have potentially led to us even maybe discovering a version of how he was created.
I mean, what happens when these two minds get put back together in the same soul? Like, is that
Well,
even a possibility?
but
Did
here's
they
the thing.
separate the minds because of how powerful the thing was they created? Like,
I don't think
we don't
I
know why
think
they did any of this, and I want to.
But ultimately, if you were creating, if these witches were trying to create a being of phenomenal power, right? If that was the ultimate goal, right, is to create a being of epic proportion, you would not split the cells. Number one, you wouldn't create something that splits in two, right? So I wouldn't see them doing something like that. Instead, it seems like could the let's just say for grins that this was a for IVF for all intents and purposes, right? Let's say this was a cell taken from one mother and planted into the other to carry, right? Because they were both their mothers, right? And they go to, they do, if they do this on this planet, which it doesn't seem like they did, because it doesn't seem like they were set up like all the way. It seemed like they were still kind of figuring out their planet, if you will. So they get to this planet. It doesn't seem like they'd been there for 10 years, right? So to me, if they were there this whole time, or if they did this science on this planet, the virgins could be the creation, and like X-Wing says, of balance for what they were trying to do, right? The Force does its own thing, and it reacts to manipulations of these kind, and maybe they weren't expecting 2 children. Maybe they were only expecting one child.
I think it was more that they had a way of figuring out that there was a virgins there, and that these are something that they were calculating, because even the Jedi were trying to figure it out and track
Correct.
it to a sense. So I think it was more they were trying to figure, like they had a way of figuring it out with their witch magic of where this virgins would be,
right,
and used it to manipulate their child to create 2.
Potential, or like I said, there's the problem is you can't. This is a problem with canceling shows too early, right?
Yeah,
leaves a hole.
You leave this whole entire donut. If I'm going to use a quote out of one of my favorite movies now, there's a donut-sized hole in a donut hole, right? And it's this thing where you just cancel stuff without finishing it out, right? And so for me, this is the stuff that we argue about, because they haven't finished, and if they're going to finish, right? There's so much room here to do cool shit, right? The apprentice battle number 1 would be epic, right? The Sith on Sith apprentice war that you read about in Plagueis, that could be a tipping off point for what they show us, right? The blood, the gore, the real stuff that we wanted to see in this show. They could have really given it to us in a second season, right?
How the hell did all those witches die? I'm still
because Trinity is so powerful.
It was like a thought bomb. I kind
that
of
was like a mind fuck, literally.
I kind of think it was kind of like Bane's thought bomb.
You
right?
need that as an audio clip. How the hell did all them witches die?
How all them witches die, man? I'll tell you what they do all there, man. The damn witches that just
I think you're gonna explain it in Agatha all along, so I'm just gonna wait.
There you go. See, that's where all the answers are.
It was Agatha all along.
All along.
We should have known.
It's funny, man.
Hey,
just
we're
watched-
rambling about some old shit. Do we want to talk about the Ray movie?
Let's talk.
I feel
about
like I'm the
Ray movie.
timekeeper here.
Let's
let's
talk
talk
about
about
that's
the
why
Ray
you're here.
movie.
I thought I interrupted you. We were going to talk about that, but then
We
y'all
did, but
just
then
wanted
we
to
went
go.
on a rampage.
You had to do the acolyte shit to me again. So
I did. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
okay, we can have Sheev here. So Sheev, if there's any more acolyte you gotta get off your chest, bro, I approve it. So that was
Wait,
awesome.
what are we approving? What
It was
happened?
a 7 for
Because
me.
he hasn't been streaming in a while. So
I haven't
just
talked
his last
about
thoughts on
Acolyte at all.
acolyte.
I haven't
Yeah.
really
Overall,
talked about
yeah.
Acolyte at all. Last thoughts, or at least for the moment, is like a 7 overall. Which, if you know me, that's a low score for Star Wars. Like most of my stuff isn't lower than an 8. So I definitely think that to all of our points, it shouldn't have been canceled. Like there was a lot there for future seasons, and it sucks that the fandom is the way it is. You know,
Yeah, I mean, look,
even
it's,
though I love this dumb fandom.
look, it's
They
like I
don't
said,
read. They
there's
don't
not a lot of
listen.
there's not a lot of perfection that goes on with anything, but ultimate he pops in and out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the show, the show is what it is. I still hope that they're going to do another season. I'm still keeping my hopes up.
Streamed
But
lately.
yeah, I know you've been dropping out.
Mm.
But yeah, let's talk about the Ray movie. So please tell me whatever rumors or anything you've heard about the Ray movie. Ready and go.
I would say I haven't. I was taking that mental health hiatus since the Acolyte. I don't know what's going on here. I just walked in and I know that the Ray movie is supposed to go into development at some point. I think the Mandalorian movie is right now, right? So like that's about
Everyone's
my
saying they're
knowledge. I have
canceling the
no
Ray
idea.
movie.
Yeah, last I heard they canceled it. Like, but was that official?
Yeah, people are trying to say this, and I just don't understand how they can if it's episode 10.
Well, it's not. I thought they were
It
also
was-
saying it's
I
not
don't know
supposed
if
to be
it was-
episode 10,
Oh,
but
listen, anything that is in the future of 9 will be
Well,
10
yeah, it's then
to all
10,
fans.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter what they call it. It'll
it'll be 10.
listen.
Yeah,
George
let's-
didn't call them 1, 2, and 3 either. 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? Like we did that.
listen,
What
Linda.
is going on here?
Listen, Linda.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
I don't-
everybody saying it.
Yeah, I mean, is it canceled? Is it not? I mean, it's still up in the air. Look, Daisy has come out and said that she's interested. I think it has more to do. Are they shopping for more of the original actors from the sequel trilogy? Are they trying to get people like John Boyega on board? Are they trying to get
God, I hope so.
potentially Adam Driver, even if it's in a post-mortem state of force ghosts or voice acting or something in that regard? I think they're still shopping. I don't think a script has been written.
Yeah.
I think that everything is still in the same place it was. I know that Disney has mentioned that they are possibly cutting down the release, or at least Star Wars anyway. They're cutting down the release of shows to one a year. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's some dumb shit. You can't, like, number one, Mando's done. We all know that. That's going to cinema.
That was going to be my argument. Keep going though.
But Ahsoka still has a season 2 coming on board. As soon as my artist is done and I have started writing a legit script, I'm an awful writer, so it'll have a lot of small words in it. I'm not very educated, but I've started writing a script for my Kenobi season 2 potential timeline. Not so much a full out script, but at least a potential springboard. And there's also going to be some so I'm writing that for, I'm trying to write something small, a synopsis for both season 2s of Kenobi and Boba, because I think there's still a lot of legs for both of those shows to continue with something good. But the Ahsoka show is the one I think that has the most legs right now. We'll see what happens with Skeleton Crew, but I mean, Ahsoka's the only one that I know of right now that's greenlit for a new season. I can't think of any other shows that are on the docket.
Yeah, the only thing is Ahsoka that we know for sure is like,
I mean,
gonna have a season
Because
that,
we gotta go back to the future.
Marty.
I'm telling you, we're sick and tired of this. We gotta go back to the future.
They do have to push ahead, or like, not to jump back on Acolyte, but they didn't go far enough back with that, and now with
Agreed.
future projects they should get way away. Like, I think the Ray movie would be a good start for that, and then down the line we could get stories that take place 1,000 years after all this stuff, and just like tell something brand new, and don't.
Well, and the hype right now, because of the return of Hayden Christensen and the return of Ewan McGregor and the fantastic acting that was done during the Ahsoka stuff, The ongoing clamoring by the social media fandom is to do certain scenes or certain story arcs from the Clone Wars in live action,
Yeah,
and
people didn't.
to get those three together to do even some short stuff, some 30-minute episodes of some different story arcs in live action. Um, so we'll see. I mean, are we going to see? Are we going to see in Ahsoka season 2? Is it going to be strictly the Mortis arc at this point? Um,
Haha.
I mean, there's a lot of that. I mean, honestly, that's the only show that's greenlit right now.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the two things that we know for sure are happening are kind of the things that are probably going to branch out from the end of Ahsoka season 1, which is Ahsoka season 2, which will probably be focused on primarily the Mortis arc, to your point. And then also the other half of that branch is the fact that Ezra, Din, all these characters are in the main galaxy, and that'll probably, hopefully, be touched on a bit in the Din and Grogu or Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Mm.
But then other than that, to your point, yeah, there's really nothing in the future that we know of except for this Rey movie. Which I didn't see anything saying it was canceled when I just kind of did my brief search.
I haven't seen anything official from Star Wars saying that Acolyte is canceled. The only thing that
Acolyte, no, definitely not. But I was talking about the Ray thing because I think you guys were saying
Yeah.
the Ray movie was, and there's definitely not anything on the Ray movie being canceled.
Well, and Tem, and KG, to your point, also Tem is very much in the fold and has no problem playing Rex or Cody or any of those characters. So I think that's what a lot of people are clamoring for right now is another Jedi. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clamoring, but I mean, right now, as the fandom sits, as the Acolytes number, look, I don't agree with canceling shows based on viewership after a month or two.
Hell no.
I think that's a little premature, a little knee jerk reaction. So I'm still under the hope that and like the actors, it's still a real thing, and they'll see more of us start to get on board. But the only thing slotted as of right now is Ahsoka season 2, and that
I thought Andor too.
Oh, Andor season 2 also.
Yeah, I mean, Skeleton Crew seems like it's a show that's probably going to be set up for the long run, or at least tie into what's going on with Ahsoka and all the other, and Mandalorian and all the other stuff.
Now, has
we'll
Mando season 2, or has the Mando movie started shooting yet?
I think I heard recently that they were at least like beginning production, which doesn't mean shooting.
So they're still in pre-pro then. Okay.
Yeah.
So they may or may not have a script.
I'm sure Dave and John have been working on that for a long time.
I'm sure.
Though.
I'm just curious as to.
Yeah, there's probably nothing like super set, like firm.
So
they're
in early pre-pro. They're still in writing and
probably the end of early. But yeah, that's what I would.
Oh
think.
yeah, that's right. KG's right. There was footage. They've been shooting.
There wasn't that much footage, but there was a tiny bit. It was
there
a
was
lot
some
of it,
stuff they showed.
From what I would say, I saw it online. At least a little bit of it. Most of it was kind of CGI, kind of like they hadn't like it was more probably previs type stuff, and like a lot of it, or reused footage.
Because we saw like Mando with Zeb. And stuff like
that's
that.
what I'm talking about. Though that was either probably previs or like one of the first things they shot.
Or that was shot during that bar scene. They shot a bunch of stuff and a bunch of stuff hit the cutting room floor, right? Because we see Zeb in the bar and they have a quick conversation, but they could have shot a lot more of that. And honestly, they should have. That much time went into that much makeup and artistry to get Zeb looking that badass. If Dave and John weren't sitting there going, can we bring other people to shoot shit with him real quick? Is there anybody else in costume right now we can bring in to shoot? He looks awesome, right? So I guarantee they spent more than that one scene with Zeb and Din Djarin and Grogu potentially, no doubt.
And that's the thing too. Those are all easy actors and things to put in. Grogu's a puppet, Zeb is CGI for the most part, and then Mando is a double.
Well, yeah, Mando's in a mask, so it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I think there's so much. I mean, I agree they should go back to the big screen, right? I think it's time to bring Star Wars back to the big screen. And because, let's be real, Lucasfilm doesn't know how to shoot TV shows for shit. They shoot everything like a movie. everything they do has the flow of movies. They don't shoot TV shows well. And they can end animation in a great way for episode to episode, but they have a really hard time with live action episodics. They shoot everything like a movie and then cut it down to shows, and they don't really have ending points and starting points. It's honestly their biggest hurdle is to figure out how to do episodics, because I think that's the thing, is the tempo and the feel of the shows doesn't feel like it should, based on what we see in animation, based on all of this other stuff too.
Well,
But
I guess from what I see, then like I don't know exactly what's going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu, but I kind of hope it's kind of a setup for like an heir to the Empire kind of thing that Dave's already been setting up for Ahsoka and everything else. So like, you know, if they tied in some of that, you got Luke and the Skywalker dudes still in the main galaxy. You got Ezra, you got Din, and all of them. Like,
I mean,
you could probably do some setup
I
stuff.
think that's what the title is going to be.
I think
Which-
I think that's what the actual title of the film will be: Heir to the Empire.
yes.
They are really, really good at sneaking titles in the previous projects.
Yes.
Ahsoka herself name dropped that shit like it was
Yes.
nothing.
Well, and it
Yeah.
fits more to the
Remember The
original-
Last Jedi? Same
They
thing.
say it in Force
Said it.
Awakens.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they really are going to lean into it.
as they. I mean, look, as they should.
Luke is around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he could easily show up in this movie.
Well, and so.
Oh yeah,
So,
that was going to be my question, or kind of what I was bringing up though, is like, do we think that we have the whole setup of the Mandalorians, and obviously they could even be part of the fight against Thrawn and his empire and everything, but do you think that Mando and Grogu is going to be more of a setup that kind of involves them, or do you think it's going to lead more into the Heir to the Empire? Do you think Heir to the Empire is its own movie? Because I feel like it almost should be, or it should be like a 2-part kind of thing. If that's the case, like Heir to the Empire is a big deal.
Let Heir to the Empire be the second one then.
well, Heir to the Empire should be the second one.
Yeah,
Just in the
That's
fact
fine.
that
That's fine.
the Mando and Grogu movie, even though their story is pretty much closed, that still has to do with rebuilding Mandalore.
Listen, if this is a trilogy, we got room for Mara Jade too, so I'm just saying.
But I do feel like, I
You
mean, they should be two
They
separate
gotta do
movies.
it.
In the fact that in Heir to the Empire, shouldn't you have more of a war? Shouldn't there
Oh,
be
yeah.
more troops, more people coalescing to go after the big bad? It should be, Ahsoka, Luke, Boba. Din
Yeah,
Djarin,
and that's the thing too, is
Bo-Katan,
we know 30 years from now Rey
Sabine.
and the sequels are happening, so like, I'm just, there's probably gonna be some crazy stuff where the Empire remnants get taken out somehow, let alone maybe some of the rebellion's armies are, I mean, they don't really have any real armies at this point, so
Yeah, it's just the scattered remnants. But we do need to see them fade away, because we need to see the First Order start to come into play.
Well, and we need to
Exactly.
start. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
There's a lot of leg room, but it seems like if you're going to do them in order, you do the Mando and Grogu movie. That puts us on a path to Heir to the Empire. Heir to the Empire being the Avengers, because that's what Dave has been talking about for a long time in all of these shows. Is like, look, what you guys got to realize is this is their Marvel phase, right?
Mhm.
Where everybody gets a movie and a show to show them. And not everybody's went well, just like Hulk didn't go well and Black Widow didn't go well and all these other ones that if Black Widow would have been released when it should have been released, it would have been fine. But you have all these individual shows and movies to have them team up against the big bad during what Dave was calling the Avengers level movie. So it seems like that's where we're at. They have to do the Mando and Grogu movie to set up the team up to go into the Heir to the Empire, right? To get the Luke, the Grogu, the Ahsoka, the Sabine, the Hera, the Zeb. Everybody gets together to go face off with Thrawn. Again, Thrawn has to lose to set up the First Order as success, because we already saw the Shadow Collective is arguing about who's got the better plan for the long run. Is it the backers of Thrawn, or is it the ones that want to take the kids and build the First Order? So we have to see Thrawn lose.
Oh,
that's my question also, because you brought up Ahsoka and Sabine. Do you
And
think
the
that they
third
would be
movie
in
would-
it?
Yeah, they have to
Not.
be.
I don't think the first one because
No, the
I
second
feel
one.
like
The second
I
one.
was gonna say I feel like at least if it's gonna be a trilogy, I don't know if the first two they should be in it because they got a lot. The Mortis stuff, there's a lot going on in that other
Right.
galaxy.
Even still,
Yeah.
if you bring them in what they call the rise of the First Order, right? Whatever it is, the third movie has to be the rebels losing control or the resistance losing control and the heroes dying off in order for the First Order to start to rise because the Jedi are gone again because Luke has to leave. So do we get, is that the lead up to Snoke's build to seeing the young
I
Ben
want them to
Solo?
lead up to all this, dude. They've done it in video games and
Right.
books. They had Brendel Hux in this show. Like
That's what I'm saying. The
we're
Shadow
a couple
Collective
years away from Gallius Rex and like
Exactly. They're setting it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The Shadow Collective. People forget that one little scene, that one little tiny scene in Mando season 3. The Shadow Collective is huge because you see one group bidding for Thrawn's return, waiting for Thrawn's return. Then we get the return in Ahsoka, and the other crew is like, we need to be focusing on Project whatever they fucking.
You think some of those
Necromancer.
guys are on
Necromancer?
Exegol already?
I think some of those guys are communicating with
Didn't
people in
have.
Exegol already.
I mean, they built
Didn't-
all those goddamn ships
Oh
out there, right?
well.
I don't
maybe.
know when they got
Well,
there.
no,
I'm
because
just-
they're mentioning Project
it's never been talked
Necromancer,
about.
right?
Well,
So
it
yes,
was-
Project Necromancer is absolutely already a thing. So,
But is
Palpatine
that
is
building
already-
of the ships out there, or is that his
think-
resurrection?
To your point, I feel like it's been teased. It
Yeah.
hasn't necessarily been talked about, but that's what's in. Was it Battlefront 2 with Ursia?
Right, that's
Ursia
what
or
I'm
whatever?
saying. Mhm.
It's
The
Palpatine's
pilots.
contingency plan.
Right,
Ray
and they-
Sloan.
and they mention
Yeah.
Project Necromancer,
Yeah.
and so the fact that they few know about Project Necromancer means that Palpatine is already on Exegol, right?
Mhm.
Palpatine's cloning process has already started. He's already
That's
got
what I
his
think.
presence in a body, right? And he's
Somehow.
starting to build Snoke. We saw the Snoke clones in Mando. We know that one.
Oh, that was
faction-
what I was saying. So the fact that those facilities are still here in the known galaxy, not Exegol, makes me lead to believe that eventually we'll see how they
well,
escape
now that
the
they've
rebels
been blown
because
up,
they're literally running from the rebels. At
but
this
now
point.
that they blew up the Snoke project on Mandalore, now is when they
Right.
have to go to Exegol.
And they
because
took
now-
all that doctor's
The
research.
Mandalore wasn't the Snoke project though. That was just Gideon's project.
But Gideon's project was the Snoke project.
There
No, it
was a
wasn't.
body that
No, it
looked
wasn't.
like
No, it wasn't. No. The Gideon wasn't necessarily set up on Navarro in the beginning, unless he was.
Oh,
But
no, you're right. That one was on
that-
Navarro. He was just using the information he found in Snoke's lab.
Yeah, and
to
he
make
came
his
there
own
for
people.
Grogu. He came
Right.
there for Grogu too.
No, you're
because he
right.
needed-
But it was on Navarro. The fact that they found
But that was probably the actual Project Necromancer, which is why
On
Snoke
Navarro?
was there.
on
yes,
Navarro. Yes, that was Project Necromancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. Yeah, and
Wasn't
that's what I'm
Gideon
saying,
trying to
though,
clone
is-
himself?
Gideon did.
Exactly.
Yes.
did.
It was,
Yeah.
it was
He
separate
cloned
from
himself.
Mhm.
He was
Yeah.
Din destroyed his clones.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
was
They were-
just taking the information that they gathered for Necromancer
Right.
behind their back and
Right.
using it for
But
his
the
own
fact
purposes.
that the Republic, the New Republic, found out about the clones on Navarro means that they had to send it to the unknown
Yeah.
regions.
They're running
So-
out of these little outposts.
Right. And so this is the second outpost of cloning being known. So now they have to go
And we
out to Exegol.
Still don't know what's on we still don't know what is in the pyramid facilities. Having a brain moment. What are they called? Mount
Oh,
Tantus.
Mount Tantus. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
still
so we
don't know what's really inside all that, except for like the blood experiments they were doing.
Well, the Zillow Beast, that
was all probably early
that
stuff
was
with
all
Necromancer.
That was
Yeah.
all early Project Necromancer in Tantus. And we could still see Tantus in the Ahsoka season 2 leading up to the Heir to the Empire, right? Because we still have to that is in the original Heir to the Empire is Mount Tantus. So I think they are giving us a little
Because weren't those like they had like those red pods
Mhm.
there, and we never saw what was inside them.
Yeah,
right?
those were the Jedi.
But I mean, yeah. So there's like some
I-
weird shit going on.
I'm gonna
those-
admit
those were
something.
the
I'm
Jedi,
a
they
terrible
were
fan.
Those were the Jedi.
I have not seen the end of Bad Batch.
Oh,
or
you're a
Tale-
I'm
or,
just watching. Yeah.
or Tales of the Empire. I have not seen either of them. I've only seen like one episode.
And that's it for Shame tonight.
Fair,
Um,
fair.
So no, Scotty, that was the blood they were using to
Yeah.
test the samples from the kids.
Mhm.
So they were
Yeah.
using and that's the same kind of pod that Master Luminara would have died in. When we see her being used as bait in Rebels, that's the place that they would have had her, kept her, and
Do you
that's
think
why
it's similar to the Amber stuff in Kenobi?
Yes, but those were more trophies, so that was more of a
Yeah, yeah,
gallery.
that
This was a
was-
full testing facility, and if you look at Master Luminara, in Rebels, she looks like a vampire. After a vampire had taken all of their blood, that's how
zombie
she looked.
something. Yeah.
Well, like sucked out, right? Like her blood had all been extracted from her. That's what I think was going on in those pods on Tantus, is they were slowly seeping their blood out of them to have as much sample as possible. And that's when they started realizing the M count they needed. It wasn't the M count they needed, it was Omega that they needed, right? And so she was special in her being a second phase clone.
Well,
Able to
she's
carry
a special one.
metachlorines. No, but that's what I'm saying. She was the they even said it in the show. Like, do they know about phase 2? And it's like, no, they don't. They don't know about Omega, right? And so we find out the Imperials don't know that they've actually built a clone that can take force sensitivity, and that's where we're getting to Snoke, is finding out that Omega is possible. So like all of this stuff leading that they've given us this last year all leads to Snoke, right? Everything leads to Snoke, to Palpatine, all of that. So like this isn't a surprise for me.
Somehow.
I've been saying it for for at least 4 years, right? That all roads lead to the sequels, right? And they're going to bridge this gap, and the way that they bridge it could make it more palpable for the people that don't like it. If you show me the road on how to get there, maybe more people will be like,
It's
okay,
Clone Warsing the sequels.
It's
Exactly.
And
Clone
it really
Warsing
it's
the
working.
sequels.
They're doing a good job.
So far, man. I mean, Abeloth could be something fun and obscure in Ahsoka that doesn't necessarily make it to this galaxy, or it could, and that could be, part of how, I don't know. I think we need to see the Ben Solo turn to
Is
Kylo
Skeleton
Ren.
Crew supposed to take place in the other galaxy?
I heard that rumor originally.
That wasn't that part of the
That was one of the first
description that they
things.
taught, or
In
like it's in the.
Peridia?
I don't know if it's Peridian necessarily, although it seems like they're kind of hinting at that. You know what I mean?
Boy, that'd be cool
They
if they found him.
show some stuff that we've never really seen before in that teaser trailer. I mean, there's literally part of a planet they go to where it looks like you look out the window and it's your neighborhood. Like it's,
Yep.
we haven't seen stuff like that before, so it could be in that.
Track houses?
Like literally
Trap
just
houses?
houses, sidewalks, and people riding bikes and kids playing out on the lawn.
Well, they're also with Skeleton Crew, because we haven't talked about it at all. So Skeleton Crew airs December 3rd, and they are showing some characters we've seen in the prequel or the original trilogy. I thought this could be a younger version of Wolfman on the bounty hunters on Vader's ship when we first encounter Boba Fett. No disintegrations this time.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to think
Supposedly,
of the character.
that's the Wolfman in Skeleton Crew, is the bounty, a younger version of the bounty hunter in.
Oh, when does this take place? I thought this was after.
No, it wouldn't be younger. Yeah, he'd
Or
be
then
older
it may be older with better.
because it should be.
This takes place
after-
during the same time period as the
Yeah, it's
Mandalorian.
Ahsoka. And
Oh,
Mando.
it is part of
The
the. Oh, okay.
Mandalorian.
I thought this was
That's why I think. Or
after.
Oh, I
that's
thought
why
it was
brought up the
early. I thought it
Peridia.
was
No,
earlier.
No,
No.
that's why I think it. I'm
Current,
supposed,
future,
it's supposed
timeline.
to connect to
Current, future.
Ahsoka and all that stuff, which
Current,
is even
future.
why I
Okay.
said I think they maybe are going to Peridia, but I don't know.
It's interesting. I just saw an article with a bunch of characters. I would like to say I am very pleased to see Stefan Urkel made it into
Yes.
made it into some cybernetics and joined a group of bounty hunters. I would like to welcome back Stefan Urkel. Do you
What?
not know?
Have you
do
not seen the new Entertainment Weekly
Have
photo?
you not seen the new Entertainment
No.
Weekly photo? Can
Yes,
you pull
sir.
it
No
up?
way. Are
Can
you
you pull
telling
it
me
up?
Julia
Sure.
White is in the show?
He's a bounty
Yes,
hunter.
He's a bounty hunter.
Oh my god!
Let
I'm
me see.
looking-
Bro,
it's
bro,
pulled up
he
on mine
has
right
a
now. I
he
wasn't
has
even
a
looking for
Super
that.
Let me
Saiyan
find it.
reticle. He has a Super Saiyan reticle.
No
Comes over
freaking
just
way.
Yeah, yeah,
No way.
yeah. Here,
Yeah.
I'll pull it up. Here, I got it right here.
While he's finding that, I found like a short little synopsis. It just says 4 children make a discovery on their home planet, get lost in the galaxy, and go on an adventure to get back home. So
Okay, maybe
I honestly think they get onto that ship and oopsies happens and that ship takes off into
That's-
hyperspace. On accident.
Okay.
Lost in
Here,
space.
here it is on
Yeah.
StarWars.com. It says Star Wars Skeleton Crew. When you pull up the page for it, it says Skeleton Crew tells the story of 4 kids searching for their home planet after getting lost and strange aliens in a dangerous place. Okay, wait. Okay,
there.
Star Wars Galaxy. I read a different galaxy.
Okay, so there is Stefan Urkel with a Super
That's
Saiyan
amazing.
cybernetic, like
That's amazing.
9,000.
and
Wow.
and
That's just incredible.
There was one other picture too
let's
of
see if-
Jude Law and the kids.
Let's see if I can find this one.
Right
Yeah, I'm
there,
looking
yeah.
at the pictures on the
That
Star Wars website. That's great.
That was the other picture.
Elephant Boy's my favorite.
Yes.
Elephant
Isn't his
Boy
name
is
like
awesome.
Ned or some shit?
Ted.
Neil?
I hope it's Ted.
No, it's called Neil. Like it's literally like I gotta look it up.
Oh yeah, it is right there. It says it on the bottom. Neil.
He's
Neil.
the same. He's
Oh,
the same species as the dude in Jabba's palace.
Max Rebo.
Yeah,
Max
Max
Rebo.
Rebo.
Yo.
He's Max Rebo's son.
Gotta be.
That's
Got
Neil
it.
Rebo. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Oh, he's actually
No.
related to him?
Oh no.
Dude, has to be.
Blow
Has
my
to be.
mind.
Here, okay. I found what I was looking for.
You found their stringer smell.
You trolling me?
I'm trolling you like crazy.
2 times.
Ah, word. But
So wait,
yes,
hold on a
so
second. Is the picture of Jaleel White real?
It is real.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
100%
That is
real.
real.
Yes, yes, it is. It's, I mean,
that alone.
right there, Entertainment Fall. Yeah. So there's Wolfman. Maybe he's older. I don't know.
All right,
We've seen
hold
this
on.
kind of bounty hunter before. We know that-
Realistically, do we get an Urkel reference in this show?
God, if we don't, I'm gonna be mad.
He's gonna say, did I do that?
Did I do
He's
that?
gonna say that. He's going to break some shit and he's gonna say
I've fallen and I can't get up.
no, he's gonna say, did I do
No,
that?
he's gonna say, "Did I do that?" But it's gonna be
100%.
like a blaster will go off, and he'll be like,
Did I do that?
Yeah, it'll be totally
It'll be something like that. It's got to be, bro. But
what if
I
they reword it? He's like, was that my fault? But we know
right. Was that you? Right?
Yes, and it is Vane.
Better not be
the same
got any
pirate Vane.
cheese.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it looks really good. It looks fun. I mean, what else can you do, man? It's what does this one look like?
I was say I found the quote
Yeah,
I
what
was
you got?
looking for. It says basically the same thing as the other one, but it says follows along as the kids get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy and have to find their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies along the way. That sounds a lot like they're going to Peridia or a different,
Now,
at least
are
a
they-
different
now,
galaxy.
be.
Are they Jedi kids?
I initially
sure.
thought that maybe, but I don't think there's any mention of them necessarily being force sensitive or not.
I
The
think
trailer talks
only
about a big
Jedi-
test.
Mm.
I would
But-
say it's possible that they're the group leader or like the adult dude. I forget
Well,
what the
Jude
actor-
Law is a
Jude
Jedi.
Law.
It's already been
Yeah,
said that Jude Law's
that's
character
yeah.
is a
So
Jedi.
he's for sure a Jedi. I don't know if the kids necessarily.
But it could
are.
be a Jedi in hiding also during this time. We don't know.
At this time, it would make sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this far after. It's surprising that there's even a Jedi around like that. This far after the Empire's reign.
Yeah, it's
He's
all-
kind of like he's got a bit of a almost like a Kanan Jarrus like kind of thing where he's like part smuggler, part like he's
Scoundrel.
hiding it, but he's you know.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I'm going to watch, of course. I mean, it's just a show that we don't know much about. We haven't heard much about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. It's getting a lot less hate than the Acolyte in its virgins, let's say, just to be fun.
I will say to your point, John Watts isn't really talking a lot. So
Neither is
Hmm.
Jude Law.
Mhm.
And like I said,
Hopefully that's a good thing, man.
are they following a new blueprint? You know,
I mean, I don't know if he necessarily did with Spider-Man either. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just the kind of director John Watts is. He doesn't necessarily want to be in front of everybody's face all the time.
well, even Jude Law has kept it very cryptic and kept it very simple.
He
So I
seems
mean, it
like
just
that kind of guy too.
it
But
just seems like the Acolyte show. It seems like those actors were almost baited into these into making
100%.
their own music videos about what they want, about
100%.
Leslie going going full monkey and in these interviews talking about this stuff. It seems like the masturbators succeeded in baiting these the cast and everybody into talking about it so much and into really letting their freak flags fly instead of just keeping under wraps. So I mean, honestly, congratulations to the masturbators. Those guys baited them into a class action
Self-care.
bait. It was some great baiting. And they are truly bait masters. So, yeah, I mean, I applaud them because they walked right.
There's
into
always
it.
a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish, and those those masturbators, their bait was good. So I applaud them. I want to continue to applaud the masturbators. Your bait was exquisite, and we salute you. Thank you. Somebody got that reference. I'm gonna do a commercial. We salute you, YouTube masturbators.
Real
miss those
man of
commercials.
Real
genius.
man of genius.
Those were the best commercials.
You selected the right bait to make your prey come out and show their freak flags. We congratulate you, masturbators. Yeah, I mean, they took the bait. It was easy, and they came out wild. I don't think, but I also feel like, again, we go into a director that doesn't have a huge agenda. We go into an actor that may have his own agenda but knows how to keep it under wraps. This is how it should be, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter who's directing, whether it's Robbie Rod. It doesn't have anything to do with male female protagonists. It doesn't have anything to do with male female directors. It has to do with people like Robert Rodriguez. I'm not allowed to call him Robbie Rod anymore. It's like calling Robert Rodriguez and Leslie. These people like to talk, and instead, who's the director for Skeleton Crew?
John Watts. He did
John
all the
Watts
Spider-Man movies, I think.
Lets his work speak for itself.
Because
Jude
Marvel
Law
NDA'd him out of his mind.
body
and they're
of work
terrified.
speak for itself. Say that again. What was that?
Because Marvel had him NDA'd out of his mind, and now he's just afraid and he's used to it. They've
Exactly.
subdued him.
Good thing.
Yeah, they
But-
put him in
but if
submission.
Don't you talk.
If anything, shouldn't Lucasfilm be adopting the Feige NDA? And shouldn't they be enforcing the same way Feige would?
I
Yeah.
still
Well,
want
yeah,
Feige to get in there.
Right? No, fuck that. I don't want any Feige Star Wars. Get out of here. That's like saying,
I'm not even saying
I want some
Feige
Kathleen
Star Wars.
Marvel.
He's got enough.
Let's just
No,
trade CEOs.
that is not like saying
That's
that.
the same thing, bro. That's But yes, I think that's a lesson that these directors should take is, like John Watts and like Jude Law, let the work speak for itself instead of telling it. And this is something that I got taught as a young person. This is something I got taught as a young airman in the military. This is something I got taught in television. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Winners show me what they've done. Losers talk about what they're going to do. Winners show me what they do. Right? And I think that holds true for Robert Rodriguez, at least in his Star Wars tenure. That holds true for Leslie. That holds true for Amandla. Right? The people that voice what they're it's just like anything else. The people that say I was robbed and this was stolen from me, or these people, this, that, those are the people that are not winning. The people that are winning are the people that show you their body of work. And I feel like that's what's coming with Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew could be a big pile of crap as far as I'm concerned. They still won because they're not letting anybody shit on their narrative before they let out a single frame. Right. And that was the biggest hook in Acolyte.
Well,
that's where these
the
guys
other
aren't
thing
messing
too
up.
is like it doesn't
And
hurt.
Boba.
doesn't hurt that this is definitely geared towards kids, and the other show is
Mhm.
definitely geared toward a more adult
True.
Yeah.
audience. But
True.
yeah, I
But
feel you.
I mean,
We're getting back into traditional Star Wars, which is going to feel nice, hopefully.
well, we'll see. We'll know in
Coming of
less
age,
than 60
coming of
days.
age tales, etc.
You know,
Yeah.
we'll know in less than 10 weeks. So, I mean,
That's too
It-
long.
it's right around the corner, and honestly, I hope it does well. I would like to see more shows.
Me too.
I mean, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on Lando making a comeback?
That show's got to be fucking fire.
It would have
It's
to be.
gotta be fire. Or
dude.
that shit is dead. That show, in my opinion, is fucking dead on arrival, unless it's fire. Unless all promos, all trailers, everything they show us is fire. Dead on arrival. Worst show
Well,
rated. Worse
he's
than
been-
Acolyte. I'll go that far.
He's been talking a lot, right, about how he wants to make a show that's different, right?
Yeah, but your
Donald Glover.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
your Lando was in Solo. How'd that do?
Yeah.
Again,
I don't think that had anything to do with him necessarily. If anything,
Right, but that's the taste in everybody's
no,
mouth.
That
I
is the
get you.
taste.
And to your point, and to my point earlier too, like it's not something that's geared toward all the general audience of Star Wars. It's
Mhm.
something that's more of a niche thing, or for the hardcore audience like us,
Mhm.
which is kind of like what the Clone Wars was. If even then, animated fans don't like it, or people that don't like animated stuff. And then that's kind of the thing, is all of these are niches of Star Wars in a sense.
I mean,
And
arguably, wasn't that what Boba Fett was supposed to be
For
too? So
sure,
it's like
for
these
sure.
niches are too small. They're too
But
small.
at the same time,
Yeah.
aren't the Marvel niche is just as small, right?
For
And-
sure. Oh,
and
they're even
the-
smaller.
This is a
They-
movie. Hold
Dude,
up. This
Marvel
is
is going. The funny thing with me is people are like complaining about certain things with Marvel, and I get it. You might not like every single thing that they do right now, and I don't even for sure like every single
Boy,
thing
their
they do
fourth
right
phase
now.
was a dumper.
They're lit, for sure, comparatively to the others,
Compared- yeah.
100%. And if you really want to like it, they're going based off the comics.
a
And if you
Lando
look at comics
movie.
over history, they did the same thing. And yeah, She-Hulk comics suck too. Like, what were we expecting? Like, come on.
Look, none of the TV shows, except for Mando, really have done well for Disney, right? The Marvel stuff has not really panned out on the TV side, right? The only one that I can think of, and this is because I thought it was awesome, was Moon Knight. Moon Knight was
Moon Knight.
dope.
I thought most of them are not bad, but
But I feel like they were equal to the Star Wars television shows. I feel like the Phase 4, the Marvel television shows and the Star Wars television shows have, in my opinion, the same ratings.
I think
In fact,
Star
I think
Wars
the
has done better.
Marvel's ones are worse. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree. I think
Star
the
Wars has
Marvel
done
ones are
better.
worse. The Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, the one I couldn't even
WandaVision.
finish, WandaVision. I couldn't even finish it.
Oh, I loved WandaVision.
Oh, it was so hard. Moon Knight was my favorite. Moon Knight was dark as shit. I hope they do a season 2 of Moon Knight. Moon Knight was sick and twisted. It was
Dude,
like
Marvel is giving Glover
I haven't
like
seen
full total
Echo yet.
control.
that's what I'm saying. They're giving full total control of this Lando movie. That's what I'm saying. They're talking about giving him like carte blanche to
They
do whatever
should.
he wants with the Lando movie.
I like Donald Glover.
And I'm
They
like, I
should.
like him too, but man, that could go awry.
I get
fucking
you,
fast.
but Donald Glover is not gonna do the Leslie Headland stuff, you know?
No,
Like,
but I
he-
could see
he's
Donald
not gonna put
Glover
his
breaking out the
agenda-
Gambino on this kind of shit too, though. Right?
Yo,
Like
Yeah.
how?
Just making it a little too. I don't know, just a little
Donald
too much.
Glover?
No, the child.
Dude,
I
this
mean,
is the Lando show we're talking about. If he goes to Gambino, that's probably a good thing. We're talking about Lando.
I mean, yeah. I just think it's dangerous to give.
Have you
it's a
seen
fi-
Atlanta?
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, the man. I know the man's
He's a great-
talent.
yeah,
I'm just
he's a
saying
great
it's
talent.
dangerous. Look. They gave Robbie Rod carte blanche, and look at what happened there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's
Ryan
also
Johnson.
messing with
They gave
a
Ryan Johnson
very-
carte blanche. Look what happened there. I'm just
Yeah.
saying they have a bad
I get
record
you.
of giving these people.
it did go
directors,
from a TV
producers,
show to a movie, so I guess that's promising. If
and he
they're
can pitch. Like, let's be
Yeah.
real. That dude can pitch a show,
Yep.
right? So if he's in the room, this
He has
Lando
a
thing
movie
could.
coming out, so in the next like 6 months, I think. So
Well, that's exactly what I was saying, KJ.
And-
He said Star Wars is a little too serious. I want it to be fun, and I could see him making the Lando. Here's my issue. I could see, and maybe Gambinoing it wasn't the right word. I could see him doing what Taka did with Thor
no, I
to
don't know about
Lando.
that. I
right?
get what you're saying. I just
Like that's
that
my
Taika's a
lateral.
different person.
Totally different person, but could he do the same kind of shit? Is what I'm saying. That's the thing. Is could he go too far? Right? Like you know, like Robert Downey Jr. said in You Never Go Full. Right? And is he gonna do what they did with Taka? What did with Thor, and go too far? Right? Because there is a too far.
No, I keep forgetting about Donald Glover because he also was trying to do a Deadpool animated. Wasn't
He's
it
a
Deadpool
genius.
animated
He's a-
show that they didn't? He pitched a
Like,
pilot and everything.
Miles
for it.
Morales literally exists because of this man.
He's a
Like,
genius. I'm not saying
Well,
he's not a genius. I'm just
He's already
worried-
set up to be Prowler in the
Yep.
Yes.
in the
because
MCU.
because he
Yeah.
was Miles Morales before Miles Morales was a thing.
But that's just it. He
Yeah.
like I said, his talent is
Yeah.
exponential.
Yeah.
I just worry that he could do what they did with the lightest
That's
Thor
that's why I
with
don't
Lando,
think you
and it's-
don't need to worry though.
and
is
it's
this is the
also-
dude.
on the heels of
Who-
Solo, who people already don't like. So it has to be brilliant and good. Like really fucking good on the heels of Solo. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
I like the character. I like him. I think he's great, but it's got to be a banger.
Okay,
And Star Wars better get a couple more bangers in here before we get that too. We need some morale. We need the
Yeah,
morale
dude.
on an upward trajectory leading into Lando. I'm just saying.
I agree with that. There's got to be some hype going into hype because
Yeah.
that's a risky venture.
We need a couple dubs here before we pull
I
a
mean-
Lando movie out.
I mean, that's a success on Andor 2 and Ahsoka leading into a Mando movie. And then
I will say if
Or a
the
Lando
Lando
movie.
thing does get done, it's for sure probably gonna have great music because he is best
Mm.
friends with
everyone.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Ludwig is literally him and Childish or Donald Glover
Yeah,
work
yeah.
together on Community, and
Mr.
that's
Gambino.
like that's my
No
thing
shit.
too. Is the dude literally dressed up as Spider-Man and created a movement to create a black Spider-Man, and it happened.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not worried he's gonna make it too I guess goofy
Taka.
or too
yeah, too-
Taika.
Yeah.
Too tight.
You know what I mean? Like he for sure. I get what he's saying though too, and especially with the Lando character, you can't really take it too serious. But also, he's a dude like if you've seen Atlanta, he's a dude that's not gonna not take things serious.
Well,
too,
but
you
I
know
just
what
think, and who am I to not like somebody that wants to bring fun back to Star Wars?
True.
Right? Because I am the person. I mean, this is the lighthouse in the darkness, right? Like we are the purveyors of positivity. I want to see more of it, so I'm all about it. Bring the fun, bring the heat. I'm just saying, don't go in the full red, right? Don't go full Thor is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a little
100%.
much. And I'm talking about the color. I'm talking about the color texture, everything, not just the storyline. I'm just talking
Taika-
about the aesthetics also because
I
know
love the
that
dude, but he is out. Especially with the Thor movies, he went full carte
he
blanche.
went
To your point,
full crazy, bro. Right? And that's what I'm saying is like I could see that's the danger when there's no one checking you. When you have carte blanche to do whatever you want, there's no one sitting there checking you saying, "Hey, dude, this is why John and Dave work so well together." Because John will say something, Dave will be like, "That's dumb," or Dave will say something, and John will be, "Well, like that's dumb," and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Let's do something else." Right? Like they bounce off each other. It's hard when there's one guy like Robbie Rod running everything, and like Leslie, right? You give these people carte blanche on these things. It's a dangerous formula is all I'm saying. I like the idea of having showrunners that bring in extra directors, but it's tough when you give them the whole Megillah, right? Like that's what made Mando so good. Is they had people keeping them in check, but they brought in different directors to make every episode have a different feel, right?
Yeah.
That's why
they
Bryce
not
Dallas Howard's
do
episodes,
that with Boba.
he had his hand in a lot of that. He wrote most of that, didn't
No,
he?
he didn't. John wrote all of it.
It's even worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. John wrote all of it, and he only directed like 3 episodes and was the showrunner of the whole thing. But Robbie Rod did not really write much of it.
Well, he's the reason that the voice got like when you're
he,
all filler
he
no
was
filler.
he was in that whole all filler no killer, and even then you look back.
That's exactly you said it right. All filler no killer.
He didn't help himself.
All
Yeah.
right, boys. The East Coast is getting sleepy. I can see eyes getting
Oh,
droopy.
no.
So we're gonna drop. We're gonna drop on out of here. It is great to have people to talk to about this stuff because it's been me on my own for a while. I know Shivi's coming back into the fold. He's getting his setup set back up. Matt's busy. Get out there. What are you streaming tomorrow?
The
Is
new
it
Astrobot on
Astrobot.
PS5.
That game looks fun too.
I like the
lot of puzzles.
controller.
Yeah, I saw my kids playing it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta save the first playthrough for the stream because there's stuff that happens once the first time you fire it up.
Oh, is it like Pigman
Nice.
where you like get that quick little entrance and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
You're jumping back into GTA, yeah? You're getting your
Yeah, I'm gonna
jacket?
be heavy.
Is that the word? You're getting...
Yeah. So it's funny because the president of the motorcycle club and a couple other guys are like developers also on this GTA city. So rumor is we're getting like the newest updated cuts. So we'll have like the fresh cuts. It'll say prospect across the back, and the patches will all be updated. And like I'm blown away by the city. So every day it's just growing more and more.
Yeah,
Big heists and stuff coming too. So
we caught your security your security.
I made a little
stream.
video.
Yeah, we
recently.
caught that. That was interesting. So if you're into
Hilarious.
GTA at all, Scotty's streams are great. He's always on a motorcycle somewhere, and it's a good time. He's having a blast over there. He's talking some theory while he's jamming out with his crew. Matt's
Huge
over
cast
there.
of characters over there too, not just myself. So you'll fall in love with a lot of the guys.
And they're all real people, man.
They're real
like
cool.
like the cops are pulling people over and getting citations, and the medics are like we watched Scotty crash all gnarly, and then they brought his bike back, and like there's medics like taking care of you. His legs were all broken stuff.
It's hilarious.
He had to go to the tow truck yard and get the tow truck driver to get his bike out of hock, and it's this whole thing. So yeah,
we've gotten better at not struggling as much, but yes,
Yeah.
reminders of the struggle of where we came from.
The struggle bus is definitely getting out of port less, but there is still some struggle bus happening. So yeah, get over there and check out the GTA. This struggle bus?
This struggle bus?
You mean we're wearing the opposite shirts. You're wearing the PG. I'm wearing
I have
the R.
the PG version.
I love
Or
that
the
you have
R-rated.
both versions.
So yeah, I mean we are gonna set up the merch shop here. We're working on getting some merch here on the channel so you can just click and buy and all that fun stuff. There is more artwork coming. There is me and Sheev have something coming. We're in the works. We're setting design. We're setting some setup and designing some stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff coming on the channel. I was telling Scotty before
I'm
we
hyped
were
for what
going.
you're doing.
There's a couple things coming that we're going to be doing in the next couple months leading into the new year. So keep your eyes out for some new content and some new fun over here. As always, don't forget, join all of these guys. Get down and subscribe. Join the channel if you want to. It's cheap. The emojis are going to be more and more fun as our new piece of art is coming into the fold. The artist is doing some recolors, and he went back in and he's doing huge things there, right? He redid the artwork because he wasn't happy, and we're getting this thing going. You guys are going to love this comic panel that's coming. I can't tell you how excited I am to get this thing loaded up and show you guys, and it's going to be great. So yeah, keep your eyes out on everybody's stream. Thank you guys for being here. As always, don't forget, spay and neuter your pets, help control the pet population. Tell your people in your life how you feel today, because tomorrow is never a guarantee. That's why it's called the present, because it's such a gift. May the force be with you. Have a good night.